ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Route to steady and finish.
It's close to the goal line and Minor good there. Another one.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. Hey, don't get better than this.
Rampy from 55 and right all the way home. Huge fend off and kicks the goal. The skipper off a step finishes.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Right foot strike.
He's got it. Oh, the home fans like that. Takes a bounce, unguarded, goal square. He's got it. Reed's going to go for goal. Oh my goodness, that truly is remarkable.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
On radio, on digital and on the ABC Listen app.
Yeah, take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Twilight footy on ABC Sports sees St Kilda trying to capitalise on its momentum from last week and a home ground advantage as well today against Richmond. The Saints recorded an upset win against Geelong last week, but Ross Lyon's team is very much the favourites in this encounter. St Kilda has a superior record at Docklands, and it's pretty well known what Richmond fans think of coming across to this venue, but that distaste might not be without reason given the Tigers haven't recorded a victory in their last 10 matches here. For St Kilda, a very late out, sees Jack Steele, the captain, out with a knee issue, which means that Toby Travalia, the number 5 pick, who was meant to be the sub, will start on the field, and Angus Hastie will be the sub for the Saints, while Caleb Smith will start on the bench for Richmond. Both clubs as well today have come together for the final Maddies match held to honour Nick Riewold's sister, who passed away in 2015 after battling bone marrow failure syndrome. So a little sprinkling of purple around the ground today for Maddies match. My name's Lauren Borden. About 35,000 expected is what they're saying. We'll see if they slowly fill up and the crowd does get to that expected target. Alongside me to call the action is Joel Peterson. Hello, Joel.
Hello, Loz. We'll see if the Tigers fans know that the trains go past Flinders Street. They can make their way here to Docklands. Two of the youngest teams in the competition. The Tigers with the youngest list, the Saints the 3rd or 4th youngest. So it's hard to know exactly what you'll get from these teams. Sometimes that's all we need to keep it interesting.
As I mentioned, Toby Travalia, so he's a debutant for St Kilda, and Cooper Sharman as well, back for his first game of the season after a thumb injury. Hunter Clark and Liam Stocker went out with injuries. Big in for Richmond after being suspended for a week. Tom Lynch is back to the forward line, and Tyler Sonsie has been recalled from his good performance in the VFL. Liam Fawcett admitted, and Sam Banks is concussed. In the experts chair sitting behind us today, 3-time All-Australian Carlton captain Karen Peterson. Hello to you.
Hello, Loz. Hello, everyone. It's nice crowd building here. I didn't expect that many when you said 35,000 actually, but both of these teams, the supporter bases have got different reasons to come and watch their teams. Richmond, they're looking at the future, they're looking at their young guns, they're hoping for a repeat performance of round 1 after what was probably an expected result last week, but for St Kilda it's a little bit unknown. They've had their form 1-1 to start the year, and they really should get over the top of the Tigers today if they're a serious contender for this year.
And sitting next to Kez is the VFL AFL games record holder, St Kilda. Sorry, I've given you another club there. Wrong Harvey. Brett Harvey, North Melbourne great, sitting alongside Kez. Welcome. It's good to see you again.
Yes. Great to be here. And Kez, if I was lucky enough to do the St Kilda game last week, if they play like they played last week, it looked like they were coached very, very well. We mentioned that a few times throughout the call. They just looked like they were on with a tactic. I liked it. They went around Geelong. They dropped their eyes going inside forward 50. So if they get coached again like that, it's going to be a great game.
So both teams getting set up and making their way into position. Cal Wilkie, the stand-in skipper for Jack Steele, won the toss, and St Kilda will be kicking towards the Lockett end of Dockland Stadium, which is the left-hand side of your radio dial, not long before the first bounce here. So who are you tipping, Boomer?
Sorry, Loz, the debutant, is he the sub?
No, he's not the sub.
Good, because I seen that Thursday night, there was 2 of them. And I'm connected to one through Stewie Cochran, my ex-teammate, but disappointing to see the subs making their debut and being sub. I'm going for the Saints.
Saints for me as well.
So it means Toby Trebalia will start on the field for the Saints, which is good news for him and everyone who's come down from the Bendigo region. It is St Kilda and Richmond on ABC Sport. Here's Joel Peterson.
Two of the premier big men in the competition, Marshall and Nankervis, get us going. Hugo Garcia, after the sub last week's on the ball for the Saints, lays the tackle on Hopper, squirts forward for St Kilda, the opening forward foray. Higgins bangs it inside the forward 50. Bouncing balls out in front of Broad. Trainers there. His first time back at this venue since Vic Metro's championships win last year. Exiting kick of the Tigers' defence. He's cut off by Garcia. Left half forward, 60 from home. Looking for the set-up kick inside the arc. Cuts it back on the angle. Dangerous ball. Webster reaches over Lawler. Mark Page to the man in front. And it's the young Tiger at centre-half back.
Sam Lawler takes the kick and flares it out to the broadcast side. Wanganeen Miller gets a fingertip on it. The mark will be taken by Ryan Mansell. He flares it out to half forward. Here's McIntosh streaming through. Will centre the ball inside 50 for the Tigers. And it'll be a good mark taken by Seth Campbell. Right in front of goals. Transition through the wing, and Seth Campbell holds on to the mark about 30 metres out from goal, directly in front.
Well, that's the money ball, isn't it? The kick inside 50, but I don't think that was the money ball. It wasn't worth a lot if it was, because it floated every way other than a drop punt.
You had a big bag of tricks, Boomer. Did you have that one in the
No, that was a floater. They're actually pretty hard to kick. So McIntosh has got the yellow headband on today too, which is interesting.
He has. He gives Windhager a little shove, as well as Campbell lines up his kick and slots it through for the opener. The perfect finish to the play, and Richmond has started the game on top. The Tigers won straight 6, leading St Kilda yet to score. A minute and a half played on ABC Sport.
Certainly wasn't the way that they would have drew that up, Boomer, but I really like that from Richmond. They were quick with their ball movement. The turnover on the half back line for St Kilda probably wasn't the kick that they were going for. It's a really dangerous area of the ground to turn the ball over, and Laylor stood really tall and was able to go forward, and we said Cam McIntosh, I don't know what even you call that. That was a sideways spiral that just landed in the hands of Campbell there. No backflip to start the game this week, but maybe one to come.
That kick that the St Kilda player turned it over with, that's what they did last week. They really wanted to take the game on, but right then, in the first minute of the game, if it's not on, it's not on.
Only the one goal in both of their opening quarters so far this season, the Tigers. They've got one in a couple of minutes here under the roof. Harry Birch, Martin Roger, Cameron Daw, Nick Brown, our umpires. Windhager on the footy for the Saints. Again, they get the clearance, but his kick squirts forward only as far as short. It's centre-half back for the Tigers. Handball off to Hopper. Gets it back by hand as short. He pokes it exactly that to left half back. Tresize has got the footy. Long kick up the outer wing. Presenting up strongly is Bauer. Charges to the front of the pack. Takes it on the AFL logo out of side. Drops the kick inside the forward 50 to Lynch, who comes and hits up on Caminiti. Pulls in the mark, 45 from home, 5 in from the boundary in the left forward pocket.
Looks like Windhager's got a roll running with Taranto. He's marking him pretty closely at stoppage at the moment, and he's chasing him very hard across the half line as well, so want to keep an eye on.
And that's part of the reason why they won last week, is because he did a number on Max Holmes. Kept him really quiet, and Geelong had no drive whatsoever.
This is just something the Tigers fans have not seen enough of in the last couple of seasons. Tom Lynch in the team and impacting the scoreboard. A kick from just inside the 50s, away to the right. It'll float toward the behind line. They keep it in, but Dow's walked across. And it'll be tossed back in. Right forward pocket, Tigers deep into attack and doing most of the attacking in the opening 4 minutes. They lead by one straight kick.
Nankervis puts both his hands up and then removes himself from the ruck contest in the end. And it'll be Lynch to contest it for the Tigers inside 50. He takes it with 2 hands, barges through, sends the hand pass away. It'll come back to Campbell, who has 4 Saints around him. McRae funnels out the hand pass, can get it to Windhager. Tackled by McIntosh, stays in the Saints' hands by Garcia. Hand pass to Wilson, who just sends a long kick right into the centre of Dockland Stadium. The only players back were Tigers players, and it's Blight that intercepts the footy easily for Richmond.
Had 2 spares there, Richmond, so a little bit of heat on the ball. St Kilda had to dump it long. It's always going to come back in when you've got 2 spares.
Short, out wide to Flostone, longest tenured Tiger. One of only 2 that's played more than 200 games. Comes back to Blight, now back to Miller. Miller comes to the dockside wing, finds Broad, right on halfway for the Tigers. They lead by 1 straight kick in the early going. Short to Dow. Of course, brother Paddy He's on St Kilda's list, out with a knee injury at the moment. 2 boys from Swan Hill. Thompson Dow's got the footy here for Richmond. 2 kicks from home. Drops it inside the forward 50. Lynch charging through the pack. Dropping off is Sinclair. Takes an assured mark in defence and chips it short to Zach Jones at left half-back for the Saints.
Had a good game last week against Geelong, where the Saints held on in that last quarter despite Geelong pressing. Strong along the wing. He kicks it across to Webster. Not 15. The umpire hot on that. Calls it. Webster just gets a kick away. Wingtaker keeps it and hand passes it to Jones. Mansell gets him. Jones just gets the hand pass back to Sinclair, who gets tackled as well. His kick goes directly to Nathan Broad as he's under pressure. Slams into Broad's chest and he marks. A long kick right to the top of the 50. Webster coming in. No one around him, but punches it over the boundary line, and it will be a throw in about 52 metres around from Richmond's goal. The only side to score so far this afternoon. They're 1 straight 6, leading St Kilda, yet to score. About 6 minutes gone in the first quarter on ABC Sport.
Toby Trevally is into the action for his first run for the Saints. Number 5, first pick at last year's draft. Boy from Sandhurst via the St Teresa Sharks. At the same end of the ground at which he was so involved at the end of that Big Country Championship decider last year. Tigers take it away from the stoppage. McIntosh's kick gives about 30 metres. Somehow bounced its way to Trainer, to Brown. Now to Short across the centre of Docklands. Flares the kick wide as the Tigers try to build the footy up. Tresize has got it 70 metres from home. Spins the ball in his hand. Back behind the mark. Pokes his left foot kick neatly toward Flostone. Webster reaches over the top and slaps it out of play. And we'll have a ball in 55 from home. Tigers in attack. 1 straight. Play the Saints yet to score through 6 minutes.
St Kilda are pressing the ground really, really high, and they're all pretty much within 60 metres of Richmond's goal. So when they win the ball in the back 50, they look up. There's just nobody to kick to at the minute. They need to hold some sort of shape.
Then Curvis gets the palm down, then goes after it, almost battles with his teammate for it, and Hopper wins it in the end. Hand pass to McIntosh. Just gets a high hand pass out. Still in a defensive 50 for St Kilda, and it's Hill that picks it up and tries to clear the footy out. It's taken over the boundary line by Sharman. We'll have another throw in right in that same position, just at half forward for Richmond. So Sharman, one of those players on the injury list for St Kilda that's now back in for his first game. He had surgery on injured thumb over the off-season. He's now back into the side for St Kilda. As Marshall just taps it down, looking for McRae. Comes off his fingertips towards Burns. Hand pass to Garcia. Quick hand pass to Travalia on debut. Hand pass across to Hill. Right close to that boundary line. Kicks it down the wing. Brown goes up with 2 hands. Can't take the mark for Richmond. Short's there for support. He's on a run now. He's trying to get away from Owens, and that's what he does with some pace. He turns it over directly, and he finds Toby Travalia, who takes the mark.
So Travalia chips it over the shop. Over the top to Garcia. Marks 60 metres from home out at right half forward for the Saints. Haven't scored as yet. Tigers on the board with a goal. 8 minutes gone opening term on ABC Sport. Garcia dumps it long. Marshall's there. Out the back is Owens. Collects left foot snap. Hooked it a little bit too far under pressure. And it bounced away and out to the right-hand side where it will be thrown in. But the Saints get a chance here to set up and try and force a score through a repeat stoppage. They are yet to score. The Tigers at 1 straight kick on the board.
Ball tossed in at the Lockett end of the ground. Nankervis puts it down. Ross picks it up. He's taken in a tackle by Garcia, who slams him into the turf, and the umpire will pay a free kick as well, going the way of the Saints.
Just a bit slow, Ross, wasn't he? He sort of hesitated. Jaden Short was there as the quarterback. Should have just given it to him.
So Hugo Garcia turns around, puts it on his left boot and snaps, and it starts very way out left, and that's where it stays. So just a behind for St Kilda to start their scoring this afternoon. They trail Richmond by 5 points, 9 minutes played in the opening term. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Flostone brings it in for the Tigers. Long kick to the outer wing. Bounces off a pair of hands. Wilkie collects it for the Saints. Hands it back to Burns. Neat kick over the top. Hits Garcia in stride. Handball over now. Keeler, low kick inside the 50. Looking for Owens in the pocket. Gathered it under immense pressure. Went to ground. Miller got him. Umpire says mine. Right forward pocket. Saints into attack. 35 out.
Oh, probably in the back too in the end. A little bit sloppy from Miller, but got away with it.
Keeler and Nankervis in ruck. Nankervis uses experience but gave it up to Garcia, who's been busy early around the body. Sharman's reached in on Flostone and has infringed in the marking contest. Flostone is a little bit worse for wear there. No, he's just trying to get his boot reattached. In the end, he gives up on that and just tosses his right shoe aside. He's going to go socks only from inside the back pocket.
And that's what he does. He uses the right shoeless boot, and that didn't quite work well for him, did it? In the end, Hill can steal the footy when it falls to the ground. Hand pass to Keeler in his second game, and then Hill gets it back. Hill dart a kick inside 50, forcing Kilda. Wood takes the mark. He was next to Higgins, and Wood took it from him and clunks the mark for a set shot for the Saints.
Well, the kick in the sock was actually a ripper. It was just the Richmond player who dropped a pretty simple mark in the end, and that's why the ball was in Mason Wood's hand, 35 metres out from goal, because it was a sitter that he dropped. The ball should have been going in Richmond's forward 50.
So Mason Wood to kick from a 45-degree angle, 35 metres out from goals. Put through a couple last week in the side's win as he trots on his way past the pain of 50 and lets rip with the kick, which doesn't have the finish. Again, it's off to the left-hand side. The second behind for St Kilda. They trail Richmond now by 4 points. 10 minutes have passed through this opening term on ABC Sport.
I feel like after this round we'll be talking about goal kicking again. Thursday night, Essendon, Port Adelaide. Wow.
That whole game, wow.
Wow, yep, you're right.
Miller's got it in the back pocket for the Tigers. Gee, gave it up there really easily. Hall came racing in, put the pressure on. Now through a pair of hands. Collard to Jones. Jones chips it short inside the forward 50. And the mark for the Saints to Wood, who can atone for his previous indiscretion this time from the other side of the ground. 35 out slide angle to the left.
Well, this is little Jack Higgins will be pulling his hair out about Mason Wood. Mason Wood's playing as a winger, getting deep in the forward 50, and Higgins had his name written over both of those last balls, and Mason Wood stole both of them. He better kick this one.
Last one missed to the left for Mason Wood. A minute later, he gets another chance, and Wood makes good. First on the board for the Saints, and they hit the front at the 12-minute mark. 1-2-8. Richmond are 1 straight 6. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Boomer Harvey and Kes Peterson.
Boomer, you can see the class of Zach Jones there. He just lowered his eyes in traffic. He could have been forgiven for launching that deep to the square, and it would have been probably a good option for St Kilda, but instead he had the patience and the presence of mind just to lower his eyes and saw big Mason Wood coming at him, and a good finish, because you're right, that if that had missed, we would have been talking about wasting shots on goal. They really should be 3 goals in the game, but they're 2-1 and they're off to a good start. Richmond really dominated possession in that first 6-7 minutes, and St Kilda have been able to wrestle it back, and it's been due to turnover of Richmond that St Kilda has applied the pressure on their half-forward line, and Richmond's turned it over, led to a goal.
Jacob Blight and Isaac Keeler in the ruck, the 2 youngsters doing the ruck work. It falls to ground, and McRae takes the hand pass, tried to find Travalia. He was on his hands and knees and couldn't take the footy. Windhager got a pass out, and then it's Sonzi who can take it for the Tigers. He gets it inside 50. It'll bounce right at the top of the 50. Coming through is a hand pass from Sonzi, who moves it across towards Campbell, who takes a kick at goals, and it's just a behind. It was Sonzi having a kick at goals, so just a behind for Sonzi. Richmond's first of the afternoon, 1-1, playing 1-2. St Kilda ahead by 1 point.
Sinclair drives it in. It's a beautiful kick. Opens up the ground to Wilson, who can dash, and he missed the handball. O'Connell, he set him a task, and O'Connell had to try and pick it up off his bootlaces. Goes back into neutral territory. Short just hacks it forward off the ground, straight back to Sinclair, and they can start again here, the Saints. Sinclair to Hill. Hill had Burns on short. Looked him off to start. Now goes there just forward of the wing broadcast side. Saints by a point. 13.5 gone opening term. Earlier today, the Suns absolutely demolishing the Demons in front of about 13 people at the MCG. Caminiti across half-back now for St Kilda. Flares it wide to Wilkie. The Sandian skipper today with Jack Steele the late out. And now Wood's got it forward of the wing on the outer side. Dangerous kick, but they continue to build the ball up nicely here, the Saints, to try and marshal another scoring chance.
McRae, who's been strong in his new side in the St Kilda colours, goes out wide. In the end, Dow puts up his hand to try and get a fingertip to the footy, and it goes out of bounds with Owens chasing after it for a throw-in.
Looks like the Saints are pretty content to having Caminiti down back, obviously with Big King out when he comes back into the team. So you might see a little bit of him down back, who's just manning Tom Lynch right now.
Yes, yeah, found his spot there this season at least, as Blight just taps it out, but it's straight into the path of McRae. Takes it for the Saints. Hand pass to Sinclair. Hand pass back to Burns. He dodges and then goes inside 50 to a pack. Brown punches it away. Owens runs onto it, slips over on top of the footy and dives on top of it The ball will be wrapped up inside forward 50 for St Kilda, about 35 metres out from goals, each side with a goal apiece so far, and it's Saints leading by 1.
Owen's doing the ruck work inside forward 50. Blight opposed to him. Higgins burrows in, of course, former Tiger, now out there in Saints colours. Short goes to ground. He's wrapped up and a ball up, 25 out from the St Kilda goal.
Just the last 3 times Mitch Owens has gone for the ball, he's fallen to the ground, so he just needs to keep his feet.
Keeps his feet here in the ruck contest. McRae on the up, tried to give once and then it got dragged back in underneath him. Short's on the bottom of it again for the Tigers. Still nothing doing, 20 out from the Saints goal.
Geez, McRae's clean beneath his knees, isn't he? It's twice in a contest out of stoppage that he's been able to collect it on his bootlaces and feed it out to a teammate. Didn't come off on that occasion, but one to keep an eye on. Judged
best of field by the coaches last week. Again, the ruck contest inside forward 50. This time, Trevelyan, handball to Owens. Short slides in again. Grabbed by Wilson for the Saints. Right forward pocket. Was he taken high? The umpire is crossing the arms again and we'll have another ball up. Still at full forward for St Kilda.
It's Owens now in the ruck for the Saints. Puts it down. The kick will come away from Windhager, who dribbles it towards goals, but this time it's off line to the right-hand side. So another behind for St Kilda, just having shots at the goals. Extends their margin out to a 2-point lead, 15 minutes played in the first term.
Miller for Hopper. Brings the Tigers out toward the broadcast side. Ross stands in front of Hill. Hill did well to reach over the top and bring it down. Collard scoots in. Handball to Hill. Off to Sinclair. Driving kick inside the pocket. Wilson tried to take it. Higgins does the roving around the body. Centering kick. Pulled out of the air by Taranto. A timely intervention from the Tiger. Exits an offensive 50 and Ross elevates. Takes a good mark. Dragged to ground after the fact and that's 50 against McRae.
Yeah, it was silly, wasn't it? It looked like he didn't think it was a mark or something, but it was pretty clean.
It was clear cut and Jack Ross strides to the front edge of the centre square for Richmond.
And he keeps going, takes a bounce right to half forward, long kick to the hot spot, right to the goal face, and he almost goes through, but just to the right-hand side offline was his kick from 55 metres out, 4 behind for the Tigers. The margin now back to 1 point, St Kilda's lead in the opening term.
And they're on the burst again here, St Kilda. Long kick found Hall. Now bouncing off half-back is Wood. Loops the handball forward. Keeler striding down that outer wing. Banging it inside 50. Sharman, the early rise. Didn't give away the free kick. Yes, he did, Cooper Sharman. In game number 50. Great story of perseverance to get to the top level. On that occasion, he was up before acceptances over the back of Flostone. Saints 1-3, Tigers 1-2. 17.5 gone opening term on ABC Sport. And Flostone, well, he needs to take his boot off again because he's kicked that one out.
I totally agree. What's Taranto had there, Joel, on the stats?
Tim Taranto in the early going, just the one touch.
Yeah, Kez called it earlier before getting ran with pretty heavily.
Keeler to Wood across to Trevelyan. He's had a few touches early in his debut, the 5th player to debut for St Kilda. One of those was Keeler, who he hands off the footy to as he kicks inside 50. A pack forms, pulls it down. Taranto picks it up and hand passes it away to Blight, who moves the footy outside of defensive 50 for Richmond. Just trickles over the boundary line, about 55 metres out from goals for another ball up.
Having trouble with that, Richmond. They're able to affect the turnover when it comes in deep from St Kilda's entries, but their ball exit from their D50 is just getting cut off every time at half forward.
So it's Blight, who just takes it out from the ruck, tries to pull it down. Trevelyan, though, for the Saints was on hands and knees. Hand passes it across to Wilson. Inside 50, St Kilda goes. But a good intercept mark by Tom Brown, who stands back there, and he's been strong in defence for the Tigers, and he intercepts the footy for them.
And played either end of the ground too. Young Tom Brown off to Flostone, now to Lawler, who hits up in front of Burns, just defensive side of the wing, cuts the kick back inboard. Ross, curtailed with injury last year, Jack Ross. Gee, it's an awkward kick. He ended up just nine-eyeing it out toward the interchange gates for Miller. Made him work. Miller comes over the top now. Well-weighted kick finds Tresize. Right half forward for Richmond. Trailing by a point. 19 minutes gone opening term. Left foot kick from Tresize is an absolute sack. And he's coming off the ground after that.
McIntosh school of kicking.
It wobbled its way toward Tom Lynch. The only problem is if he went to the McIntosh school of kicking, he still failed. Out of bounds for a throw in right forward pocket for the Tigers.
So the umpire readies himself and flicks the footy in. Marshall can palm it down. Jones is in there trying to extract it and dig it out. Everyone's around the footy. No one can separate it.
I'd have to start calling those kicks the tumble dryers, Loz, I think.
I like that. I like that reference. Ball tossed up. Marshall has another go at it. Again, players find it difficult to pick it up. It ends up funneling through the bottom like tunnel ball, and Sinclair can get it and just flare the kick out wide into space, and Nankervis will pick it up for Richmond. So again, the Tigers have the numbers in defence. Nankervis goes backwards towards Blight, who holds on to the footy and will be able to propel Richmond forward from here. It's out to Ross, who'll mark right at centre wing, broadcast side of the ground. St Kilda ahead by a point.
Rolls onto his right, Jack Ross drives a low kick inside the 50, and it always had Rowan Marshall's name on it. Peels off and takes the intercept mark for the Saints.
Yeah, the problem with that kick, it was going to Green, who's not very tall at all, and Taranto was next to him. Marshall standing in the middle of them.
Caminiti, 13 marks in defence last week for Caminiti. Goes back to Wilkie, now to Sinclair, all inside defensive 50 for St Kilda. 1-3 plays 1-2. Saints ahead by a point. 20 and a half gone opening term. Wanganeen Miller has been quiet. Just the one disposal, and have a look at that. He makes it work. He sides the kick up the middle to Owens, who goes inside the 50. Keeler with the one hand reaching up, and Miller desperately getting back in defence with a timely fist for Richmond. Ball out of play, right forward pocket for the Saints.
And again, Jack Higgins just giving him a mouthful there, Mitch Owens, because he had an easy kick. Jack Higgins was heading back towards goal, pointed his finger back at him and done that reset lead. It was just an easy kick, should have hit him up.
Had 4 goals last week, Higgins, and wants a little bit more of an opportunity inside St Kilda's forward 50 as ball comes out, and it's moved out by Hopper, but in the end it's taken by Wood. He picks it up, he's tackled, umpire says play on. Windhager tries to get a hand pass away. Hall picks it up for the Saints. He sends a hand pass back to Wood, who swung around in a tackle by Traynor. Again, the umpire says play on, but all the players have mostly stopped as Nankervis holds onto the footy, and it will be a high free. So a high free going to Nankervis.
Must have been very high,
That was
Loz.
a very high free kick as the ruckman takes it for Richmond and flares it out wide to Brown. He'll kick it right to centre wing in front of our bench, in front of our broadcast box, and as well as the benches, where Ryan Mansell holds onto the mark and doesn't know exactly what's ahead.
Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson calling the action for you. Boomer Harvey, Kez Peterson, your experts. Tom Brown slides in. 70 from home for Richmond. Releases the kick from right on the paint of the boundary line. High ball to the top of the square. Soaring in from the side. Trying to take the mark was Armstrong. Wanganeen Miller across the face at defensive goal. Marshall, he weighted the kick really nicely in the end. Windhager's got it. Just inside the defensive 50 for the Saints. Still that 1 point lead they're holding on to. Now to McRae. He's back on the ground after his earlier indiscretion. Kicks short for Webster. Tasmania in his 13th season. Rolls across the defensive 50. Comes to Caminiti. He's got Jones on the broadcast side wing. Goes in that direction by foot.
And Jones has got some space ahead of him. He dubs the kick forward to Marshall. Marshall will just slow things down. Left half forward. Jones is running for a little hand pass. He'll kick it across to Sinclair, though, who'll mark. Still at half forward. Sinclair will put the kick inside the forward pocket for St Kilda. Collard's there. Reels in the mark. Good spotting from Sinclair, and Collard holds on to the grab, and he'll have a kick, tight angle for the youngster, and about 45 metres out.
It's the first time that Richmond's defence looked to be opened up by St Kilda with their ball movement.
A couple of goals from 6 touches last week. Curls this one in beautifully. He hasn't played many games, Collard, but he is showing what is in his bag of tricks. Beautiful goal from Lance Collard. And St Kilda advanced to a 7-point lead. St Kilda 2-3-15, Richmond 1-2-8, 23 and a half minutes played in the first term on ABC Sport.
It was a fantastic finish, Loz. And just, Kez, just to go on what you said, the reason why they got opened up was because they exited out one side. Richmond had proactive positioning on their opponents on the outside of the ground. They switched it back to the other side of the ground and did it fairly quick. There was 1, 2, 3 short passes and the ball's on the other side of the ground, and the Richmond defenders were just 4 or 5 metres on the opposite side to the St Kilda forwards.
Yeah, you can see the method. It was the same as you mentioned it in the pre-game, what they did to Geelong last week. They want to use the space on the outer side of the ground, and it's because players like Zach Jones are prepared to run really hard to the space and keep moving as well. That's why they were opened up.
Back-to-back goals for the Saints in the ball game. They came 13 or 11 minutes apart. Tigers trying to answer back. Nankervis with the clearance inside the 50. A bit of holding on. Going to Lynch. He was in the pack. O'Connell's come tumbling over the top, the Irishman. And Big Tom's going to have a set shot 40 metres out, as good as directly in front.
Now, in the scheme of things, this is actually a huge kick because St Kilda have played all over him in the last 8 minutes. If he kicks this, they're 1 point down. There wasn't much in it, was there?
And he ended up collaring O'Connell as well. Tom Lynch, having just come back from suspension. Adam Uze said during the week he's best when he plays on the edge, but maybe just take a step or two back. Here is Tom Lynch. Kick of 40 metres to answer back instantly for the Tigers. He leans across it, drags it left. So he's missed both of his first set shots rather unconvincingly.
Yeah, it's just for a key forward, you just got to nail that. That's a goal that they needed and he needed as well.
St Kilda defenders move the footy out of defensive 50, but it's turned over right into the hands of Ross. Again, Richmond well set up, and it's Ross that'll put the Tigers back inside 50, looking for a late goal. Wilkie got a hand to it to bring it to ground to get some support from Sinclair, who soccers it out of defensive 50. Higgins is down there to help. Hand passes over the top of his head towards Webster. Long kick right down to half forward. Mark can't be taken by Sharman. Ball's in there as well. He's wrapped up, and the umpire will come to throw the ball up half forward for St Kilda.
O'Connell's in a bit of trouble, I think, after that incident with Lynch as well, so he's gone to the bench with the doctor. Doesn't look too good at all.
This time the ball's brought out by Short, who hand passed it across and made its way to Sonzi, who hand passed it through to Trezise. He fumbles the footy and loses it, and Webster's there to pick up. Hand pass to Sinclair. He's streaming away with the ball now. Will put St Kilda deep inside 50. Mitch Owens can only get one hand to it. Puts it down. Still in a good spot for the Saints if anyone can pick it up. Miller just pushes it out for the Tigers and puts Tom Brown under pressure, and he's tackled and wrapped up. And we'll have a ball up inside 50 for St Kilda. They've got a 6-point lead late in the first term.
Gus Hasty warming up, the sub for the Saints. Of course, Jack Steele late out with a knee complaint. Toby Trevelyan in the team, and in the 23 on debut. Nankervis blasts it outside the defensive 50. That was going to be insufficient intent always. And so Sinclair takes the free for the Saints. Chips it to Burns. Into the pocket. Sharman's athletic. He leaps, can't mark. Wilson takes it at ground level. Handball back to Hill. Edge of the 50. Cuts the kick inboard. It's a carving ball and finds Hall, who rises to mark 30 metres from home. The kick from Brad Hill was an absolute bullet.
The Tigers are going to have a look at Jack Sinclair, who's had 13 disposals this quarter, 12 kicks. He's not like a traditional half-back flanker because he kicks the ball inside 50 a fair bit. I'm not sure if he's had any inside 50s today, but he's had 3, and he's starting at half-back. So they've got to put a little bit of time into him because he uses the ball super well as well.
334 metres gained as well, so he's really damaging by foot at the moment.
Here's Hall for the Saints. Kick 2 in their first game of the season. Starts that right, brings it back to the left beautifully. And after Richmond kicked the first of the game, the Saints have got the next 3. And they open up a 12-point lead, closing on quarter time. 3-3-21 to Richmond, 1-3-9. 27 minutes played. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Kes Peterson and Boomer Harvey.
It was a great finish, and it was a particularly good mark by Hall. Smallish forward in the forward line. He just put himself in the right spot and was able to hang on, and a great finish. But Boomer, to your point before, the kick from Lynch, it's effectively a 12-point turnaround in a matter of minutes that really would have given Richmond on the eve of quarter time a real boost. So, you know, a goal that you would expect Tom Lynch to be able to kick, he doesn't. St Kilda transition to the other end, and Hall is able to finish, and Richmond find themselves, 2 goals down.
It is St Kilda ahead by 12 points late in the first term as the umpire restarts play. Taranto's held up in the middle, and we'll have another ball up. So Marshall and Nankervis in the ruck tangle, and Nankervis palms it out behind him. Sinclair's involved in the action as well. Windhager picks it up, hand pass to Garcia, who hand passes it back to Hill, and he puts the Saints out to the outer side of the ground. Hall's got it, the most recent goal kick up, flares it out wide, looking for McRae, slips through his hands. Will be picked up by Traynor of the Tigers. Hand pass to McIntosh, who shares it with Ross, and then Traynor gets it back and puts the kick to centre wing, outer side of the ground. Webster grabs it as the siren sounds. 2-mark quarter time here at Docklands. It is St Kilda with a 12-point lead. So the first goal of the game went to Richmond very, very early in the match, and then the next 3 following that were all to the way of St Kilda. It's the Saints 3-3-21 leading Richmond 1-3-9. The goal kickers so far today have been Lance Collard for the Saints, Mason Wood as well, and Max Hall with one. Well, for Richmond, it's Seth Campbell with a goal.
Lots big day in sport. Of course, our South Australian audience are with us on ABC Radio. The South Aussie cricket team need 40 runs to win in the Sheffield Shield final. They're 4 for 230. Jason Sanger and Alex Carey have both got centuries. Alex Carey's just been cleaned up by Mark Steckity. But if you're with us in South Australia and you want to hear them win their first Sheffield Shield title potentially in 29 years, the ABC Listen app has a call of that game.
There you go. I thought it was all going to be over yesterday for a moment there, but luckily a couple of centuries from the Queensland Middle Order brought it back. As Joel mentioned, you can hear that all on the Listen app. But at the moment from Docklands, it is St Kilda ahead by 12 points. This is Saturday Arvo Footy on ABC Sport.
The World Test Championship is coming.
He gets connection here, lifts it over the keeper, one bounce for four.
Australia versus South Africa.
And he nicks it, he's got him again.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Left out to half forward. Here's McIntosh streaming through. Will centre the ball inside 50 for the Tigers, and it'll be a good mark taken by Seth Campbell right in front of goals.
Well, that's the money ball, isn't it? The kick inside 50, but I don't think that was the money ball. It wasn't worth a lot if it was, because it floated every way other than a drop punt.
Campbell lines up his kick and slots it through for the opener.
Ball came racing in, put the pressure on. Now through a pair of hands. Collard to Jones. Jones chips it short inside the forward 50. And the mark for the Saints to Wood. Last one missed to the left for Mason Wood. A minute later, he gets another chance. And Wood makes good. First on the board for the Saints. And they hit the front at the 12-minute mark.
Still at half forward. Sinclair will put the kick inside the forward pocket for St Kilda. Collard's there, reels in the mark. And he'll have a kick tight angle for the youngster.
It's the first time that Richmond's defence looked to be opened up by St Kilda with their ball movement.
Couple of goals from 6 touches last week. Curls this one in beautifully. He hasn't played many games, Collard, but he is showing what is in his bag of tricks. Beautiful goal from Lance Collard.
Wilson takes it at ground level. Handball back to Hill. Edge of the 50. Cuts the kick in forward. It's a carving ball and finds Hall. Here's Hall for the Saints. Kick 2 in their first game of the season. Starts that right. Brings it back to the left beautifully. And after Richmond kicked the first of the game, the Saints have got the next 3.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Twilight footy under the dome of Docklands, and it is St Kilda with a 12-point advantage at quarter time. 3-3-21 leading the Tigers 1-3-9. Earlier today at the MCG, Gold Coast big winners against Melbourne to the tune of 58 points. So a couple of wins on the road so far for Gold Coast this season. Well, things aren't looking too great for the Demons. At the moment at Docklands, it is St Kilda with a 12-point lead. Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson calling the action. Your ABC Sport experts, Carlton captain Karen Peterson, and I keep trying to call you St Kilda great. I don't know why it's coming out, Boomer.
Maybe because we're at the Saints game today.
Brent Harvey with us as well. I mean, what did you make of that first term? Richmond's defence was well set up, but St Kilda just able to move the ball quickly.
Yeah, they were. And Richmond, for me, they've spread the ground really well and they've set the ground up really well, but they're reluctant to go inside 50. I know they've only got the one big tall in Tom Lynch, but every time they've got the ball about 60 or 70 out, they're stopping and they're trying to find the perfect play. There is no perfect play when you're playing against St Kilda because they get so many numbers back. And Wilkie, he's a general. He's one of the best backs in the league. He'll just zone off and go exactly where the ball's going to go. So for me, I feel Richmond need to get the ball to 60 or 70 out with the method that they're doing, but then go in a little bit quicker. Because they've sort of got 5 sort of smalls, Kez, you could nearly change your style and just keep dropping the eyes, similar to what St Kilda did last week. So for me, I'd like to see Richmond just go in a little bit quicker. And we mentioned Tom Lynch in that little sentence there. Well, he had 2 opportunities where he probably should have kicked 2 goals. If not, definitely should have nailed one of them. And the margin would have been a lot different at quarter time, as we mentioned. But for me, St Kilda are doing a lot right. They're still trying to shift the ball. Their transition from when they turn the ball over on Richmond's slow play in defensive 50, they're transitioning the full length of the ground. Kez, as you called it really, really well. They switched the ball one side and they got the ball out in the open side, and Richmond's defenders had no chance. And Sinclair, who ended up with 14 disposals for the quarter, Richmond need to put some sort of time into.
Yeah, he's tearing them apart, isn't he? I mentioned that he's had 330-odd metres game, just about 200 metres more than anyone on the ground. So he's tearing them apart, and Richmond are going to have to put some work into him. Otherwise, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. But for me, and it sort of speaks to your point, Boomer, it's the goal efficiency once they do go inside. And I'm talking both teams here. At the moment, St Kilda's going at only 23%.
Yep.
Goal efficiency every time they've gone in. They're just playing a team that at the moment is going at 8%. So it speaks to your point around the method that Richmond's going inside their forward 50. They're getting it in there. At the moment, they've had 12 inside 50s and St Kilda have only had 13, but it's the method in which they're going in that's really letting them down. And you're right, I think it is going to be the small forwards that are going to need to go to work and get at the feet of their, of Tom Lynch. And it looks like Cameron McIntosh has gone down there as well, just so that they can get at their feet and keep the ball in play, which is the Richmond method. So, yeah, that's something that they're going to have to look at. They cannot allow the intercept marks to continue to happen for St Kilda inside their D50.
So Jack Steele, the captain of St Kilda, are late out for this match with knee soreness. It means Toby Travalia has started on the field. And Angus Hastie is the sub for St Kilda. There was potentially a concussion concern for Liam O'Connell in that first quarter. We'll keep a watch out for that. 12 points St Kilda are ahead by as the second quarter gets underway in Toronto with a big clearance. Kicks it right into the arms of that man in Sinclair, sitting at centre half back for the Saints. Just a little chip kick forward towards Garcia, who flares it out wide on the city side wing to Webster. Strong crowd has come in for both of these two clubs so far, expecting about 35,000. We had 44,000 here last night. As Webster's kick comes awkwardly off his boot, but it works. It was Garcia takes the
McIntosh school. That was a floater as well, wasn't it?
It was a tumble dryer, wasn't it, Joel?
Yep.
The ball might be flat, I reckon, the one they're kicking with.
We use about 6 or 7, don't they, Boomer? So we'll keep an eye out.
That's a fair call.
As Garcia flares it backwards.
Here goes St Kilda again,
across from Caminiti, across to Wanganeen Miller, who marks on the AFL logo.
Play this possession style. Wanganeen Miller to the edge of the 50, and then Curvis just ragdolled Rowan Marshall. Shoved him under the foot. He takes the mark on the defensive arc for the Tigs. Comes out wide. Jones puts his fist through it. He jumped up trying to mark and realised that he didn't have the required elevation and slaps it over the interchange bench. It'll be thrown back into play. There was no Liam O'Connell on that bench at quarter time either for the Saints. Angus Hastie's now got rid of the warm-up top. Looks like he's moved to the front of the bench, so I think the sub is impending for the red, black and white. At the stoppage, Tigers chain it through hands. Taranto to McIntosh. Better looking kick inside the forward 50. Bauer tries to slap it down. Green was intelligent. Around the corner to Bauer. His little tap went, but Wilkie picked it off. Handball to Caminiti. Now to Sinclair. Back to Caminiti. Spinning off half back. Long kick up the broadcast side wing. Owens reaches over the top of Miller. Can't pull it in. And it goes out in front of the Richmond bench for another boundary throw-in. Saints by 2 straight kicks. 3-3 plays 1-3. 2 minutes gone. Second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Both teams been really methodical with their ball movement. It's just like they don't want to kick to any sort of contest. But in the end, they could go slow and kick to a contest anyway.
Ball tossed in front of the benches. And Curvis tries to grab it. Windhager comes in and steals it from him. And he's taken down in a tackle by Taranto and McIntosh for a ball up. St Kilda have confirmed that Liam O'Connell has failed his concussion test. So he is out done for the day in the first quarter, and Angus Hastie is onto the field for the Saints. So very late in Angus Hastie, and now he's straight on the field in the second term. As the ball is tossed up, and Marshall just kicks it right out of thin air. It goes up. It almost looks like he injures his hammy in the process. Can get it out to Jones, who flicks the kick down between wing and half forward for the Saints. Sharman battling with Miller. Neither of them win the footy. Owens tries to hold it in, but it's gone out of play, and it'll be a boundary throw-in between wing and half forward for the Saints. It's St Kilda ahead by 12 points. No change yet to that quarter-time score. We're a couple of minutes into the second quarter.
Tried to trick the umpire there, hold the ball in. If he had gone any wider, he would have had to pay to get back in. How wide he was.
Boundary throw-in. And Curvis and Marshall renew acquaintances in the wrestle. Spills down to Windhager. Tackle lingered a little bit there from Marshall on Short, who's been in the thick of it so far. Jaden Short, the 7 disposals. Rowan Marshall gallops away.
They're persisting with the Windhager tag. He's putting a lot of work into Taranto.
Short's kick was touched on its way to Dow by Owens. Dow got the handball away to McIntosh. Now to Flostone. Back to Dow. Loops the kick over the top. Steely Green in between the wing and left half forward. Darts the kick inside the 50. Put it where only Lynch could access it. And the big man extends and pulls in the mark just inside the 50.
This is the hardest one that he's had today, and he'll probably go back and slot this, even though he's missed the two easier ones.
So he missed one from wide left in the first term. He put that across the face to the right, and then he leant back on one badly from directly in front, missed that left.
Got to start this at the left post because it always slides right.
So left forward pocket. He'll have to kick from 50, and he's 5 in from the boundary line. Tom Lynch from right on the paint of the 50. The kick is pure.
And that's usually what happens, isn't it? Kicked a hard one, but he started that right at the left post. It's exactly what happens. And from that pocket on the left side, the ball always slides to the right. And he started that one right at the left post, and that was a sensational kick. Made up for his easy one.
2-3-15 the Tigers. The Saints 3-3-21. 5 minutes gone, second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
That's why they put it forward up here in the box, Boomer, because if you had to ask me as a defender, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do with that one. So glad that Tom Lynch was listening to you. But he needed to do that, didn't he? For his own confidence. He obviously missed last week. He wouldn't feel good about what happened with the incident. And I need to see the replay of it before I can make a real assessment on it. But from where I saw on first glance, I don't think he's got anything to worry about with the O'Connell incident.
But that was more of a collision, I think.
It was a collision. His arms were kind of caught up in the play. So don't think there's anything to worry about. But for his own confidence and for his team's confidence, he needed to slot that, and he did.
So play back in the middle now. Richmond had the first one of the first term, first one of the second term as well. Travalia running onto it at half back for the Saints. Hand passes it to Wanganeen Miller. Hand pass across to Garcia. Misses Sinclair, and the footy will be stolen by Campbell, who can get the footy away to Nankervis. Hand passes it out to Sonzi, who darts the kick right inside 50. No mark can be taken by Lynch. It'll come backwards though, and there'll be a set shot at goal taken by Campbell, who has put this through the middle. Off a step, ping at the sticks. He's got his second, and it is all square at Dockland Stadium early in this second term. Richmond 3-3, St Kilda 3-3, just 6 minutes played in this second term, and nothing can split these two sides. Your ABC Sport experts, Karen Peterson and Boomer Harvey.
Well called, Loz, because you said off a step. There was only one or two really quick steps from 46 or 47 metres out, and that's just a beautiful finish. He looks like he's got some real forward craft. It was probably the work from Tom Lynch, who was on the lead, maybe got his arms chopped, but kept the ball ahead of him, and if anyone had been in his way, he was taking him out. He plays aggressive, and that's when he plays his best football, they say.
It was the entry to Lynch, though, wasn't it? And we talked about it at quarter time. Just get it in nice and fast. Don't give the defenders a chance, and they didn't in that occasion. Tom Lynch kept it moving. Lead evaporated.
So ball back in the middle, all tied up. McIntosh trying to back his way out of the stoppage, and that was part of his tutelage. There is no doubt an absolute worm burner out wide, picked up by Mansell, back to McIntosh. That one more conventional, but Jones reached across. Miller slapped it down. Broadcast side wing. Saints back in possession. Wanganeen Miller, he kicks a grubber to Jones. His handball's a grubber in the tackle from Hopper. Now Tresize just lost it, didn't even get a disposal. Jack McRae drags him down and wants to let him know all about that. Meanwhile, Seth Campbell's coming off a little bit sore for the Tigers, getting some treatment. Jack McRae's got it in front of the Richmond interchange. Left foot kick inside the 50. Getting a nudge there was Sharman. Brown then landed on him. Green inside defensive 50 for the Tigers. Hands off to Short. Flares the kick wide. Falling over Armstrong. Keeping his feet. Webster for St Kilda in front of halfway. Handball back to Hild. He can backtrack and just calm things down momentarily. And hopefully they can find a couple of targets from halfway with Caminiti.
Caminiti just slowing things down and going out wide towards Sinclair. Can dab the kick further forward towards Webster. So they're on the slow approach now, the Saints. And they continue with that method with a short kick down to Burns. Left half forward for St Kilda. He goes laterally back to Webster.
Yeah, this is the kick now. That's the one that has to find someone around 60 out.
Ooh,
he doesn't.
The one they turn over in the end. It'll be moved on by Richmond, their defence, and Lynch will mark. He's gone back to centre half back for the Tigers. Kick across to McIntosh, puts it on his left boot, right into the centre of the ground to Lawler, who can spin around and put the kick inside, forward 50 for the Tigers. It'll be a mark for Richmond, and Bauer holding on to the footy for the Tigers is the recipient of the mark. Kicks from directly in front, 45 metres out.
Rinse and repeat again from Lawler. He did a great job in the middle of the ground. He didn't slow down the play. He just put it to the advantage of his forward, who was leading back at him, which was an important thing to do. He just ticked back up at the leg instead of continuing to run into the open space. He kind of wrong-footed his opponent.
Bauer sidesteps his way in 51 metres out. Let's rip towards goal. And he's got it. The Tigers move back in front. They're ahead by 6 points, 4-3-27. St Kilda 3-3-21. The Tigers have gone bang, bang, bang to start this second quarter. And they now have the lead by 6 points. 9 minutes played, second term on ABC Sport.
Yeah, it was a beautiful piece of play, wasn't it? It was just lower the eyes. And we spoke about Richmond only having the one really big tool down there, and that was good composure by a young boy, Lawler. It's funny because it's spelt the same as the suburb, which is Laylaw, which some people call Layla. There's three pronunciations of it just there. But it was fantastic play because he dropped his eyes, he had a lot of composure, and that's the kick. You need to lower your eyes going inside 50 when you haven't got a tall forward line. Well done.
So after the Saints kicked 3 in a row, the Tigers have kicked 3 in a row. As Loz told you, they hit the front again. 4-3 to 3-3. What do we get out of the middle here? Ross, handball to McIntosh for the Tigers, to Nankervis, stabs the kick forward on the bounce. Who's up to meet it? Crashing across the front of the pack there was Green. And then a free kick out wide as Burns dragged down short. And so Jaden Short will get the free kick. Comes back to McIntosh, 70 from home. Nice conventional kick across the face of the arc. Sonsi, he's on the front point of the square for Richmond. Another attack here for the Tigers. Deep entry to the pocket. They all rise. Wilkie kills the contest with a fist. And it goes out for a throw-in. Right forward pocket. Tigers into attack. 4-3 place 3-3. 10 gone, second term.
I'm not wrapped with that kick, Kev, just because it was so high in the air and it gave the St Kilda defenders an opportunity to kill the ball. I still think that their best opportunity is to drop their eyes.
And Curvis and Marshall do battle. They tap it out right towards the boundary line. It'll be kept in. No, it won't. By Sonsi, who's tackled over the boundary line. And the ball will go out. Hasty following him over there. So another throw-in deep inside attack for the Tigers. Both have a similar average age out there today, as Joel mentioned pre-game. A couple of the younger sides in the competition. Umpire tosses the ball in. Travaglio goes after it. Hands and knees, takes it out, hand passes it to his ruckman in Marshall. Just clears the kick outside of defence for St Kilda. Sharman has a hand pass. It'll be stolen though by Sonsi. Hand pass back to Short. Just a skying ball inside forward 50 for Richmond. Nankervis can't take the mark. Comes to ground. Bauer hand passes it away. Marshall will pick it up for the Saints. He flares the kick across defensive goals. It's a dangerous kick and it will be kept in. No, it won't by Mansell, who just fumbles the ball over the boundary line. There'll be a throw in about 20 metres around from the left behind post for Richmond, kicking towards the Lockett end of Docklands in this second quarter. It's the Tigers ahead by 6.
It's gone up a notch this game. The intensity and the way that both teams are moving the ball has certainly got more urgency than the first quarter.
Richmond are leading the way as they stand at the moment. Nankervis rips it out of the ruck, throws it on the left boot, and I reckon it's got through. Wilkie has left the left hand upright, wobbling as he went clattering into the padding. Goal umpire right on the scene. Umpire's call is a behind as we go upstairs to have a look at it.
Yeah, Wilkie was pretty confident he touched the football, whether it was over the line or not.
Well, he certainly touched something, Boom, because he touched a hell of a lot of goalposts.
He knocked it over.
Oh, boy, you can't overturn that by
It's his arm.
Through before he's...
So it's Bauer and Wilkie. And does the left arm of Wilkie touch the ball is the question as he's racing back toward that post.
What was the soft call, Joel?
Soft call was a behind. So it has to be convincing and conclusive to be overturned.
Looks like a goal from there, to be honest with you.
Sort of goes between his arms, doesn't he? He's reaching for it, but it misses the left hand and misses the right hand.
It doesn't hit the post, Kez.
No, it doesn't hit the post. That's just Wilkie that...
Oh, it's a goal.
Maybe Wilkie just felt to touch something. Didn't realise it was the padding of the post.
This is a big review, isn't it? Because this is for 4 goals straight in 13 minutes for the Tigers, which would be an amazing start. And St Kilda, all their hard work has come undone in 12.
It says the ball's touched by the left hand of the St Kilda defender before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on the scoreboard.
There you go. So it is a behind in the end. Richmond 4-4, Saints 3-3, 13 and a half gone in the second term. And although it's only early, that is a big moment of the contest.
He's always dependable, isn't he? Cal Wilkie, the accountant, hasn't missed a game since his debut and was pretty sure he did touch that one.
Saying you can count on him, Loz.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Well done, Joel. Out is the clearing kick from Wanganeen Millera. Right in the middle to Wilson. Hand pass it across to Burns. Good kick inside 50. End-to-end stuff. And it's Sharman who takes the mark. We'll just dab it inside the right forward pocket. Keeler on the end of it. And in a few seconds, that ball was got from one end of Docklands to the other end and set up a shot for St Kilda on goals.
It looked like a set play. Wanganeen Millera just straight up the middle of the ground to a player that was stationary with no one around him, which was really bizarre, to be honest with you. And then St Kilda just rushed from behind. One kick, two kicks, inside forward 50. Much needed goal for the Saints.
Isaac Keeler now on the approach. 45-degree angle, about 30 metres out. Big kick towards goals, and he's overkicked it. And it's sprayed across the goals for just a minor score. So St Kilda not able to pull one back on Richmond on that occasion. They bring the margin back to one straight kick. 14 and a half minutes played in the second term. Saturday Arvo footy on ABC Sport.
It's a let-off for Richmond on that one. The amount of time that they would have taken to set up after the review. So unforgivable, that quick transition.
Would have been a big swing in the game. All the Tigers exited the 50 momentarily, and the free kick will go to Trevelyan, who caught Nathan Broad napping as the ball ricocheted back to him. And the first gamer's got a chance inside the forward 50. The last time that he was in this building, the last game of the Under-18 Championships last year, he gave away the decisive 50-metre penalty that handed Luke Traynor the winning goal for Vic Metro. And now he debuts in the big time at the same venue. A chance to put his name up in lights. Toby Trevelyan, kick is on the way. It misses to the left-hand side. Minor score, 5-point margin, 16 gone, second term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Kez, that's a great point. There was a good minute and a half to 2 minutes for the Tigers to set up after that review, and they left the middle of the ground, the most important part of the ground, open for a kick-in.
It was Route 1 football, wasn't it? Straight down the middle. It's unforgivable when you've got that amount of time to set yourself up defensively.
Hopper with a long clearing kick outside of defence for Richmond. It goes all the way out to the wing. Webster chasing after it. The umpire's found a free kick going the way of the Saints. A hold on Caminiti. And he's won the free kick for St Kilda right at centre wing. City side of Docklands Stadium. He goes laterally to Wanganeen Millera. It was about an 8-minute kick, so he has to play on. Takes the bounce, steadies, and then just scrubbers a kick towards Sinclair. Hand pass to Webster, then Sinclair gets the hand pass back. Quickly he moves the ball inside forward 50, looking for the left forward pocket, where he tried to find Owens, who has won the free kick himself. And it's Mitch Owens now. From a tight angle, will have a free kick for St Kilda.
Yeah, outstanding bodywork by Mitch Owens there. He had his player Miller in a fairly good position, but he actually just pushed back on him really hard, and Miller had no option to hang on to him, so earned himself a free kick.
Tight against the boundary, snaps it towards goals, and it goes across to the right-hand side. So just another behind for St Kilda, still yet to score a goal in this second quarter so far. The margin, though, now 4 points to the advantage of the Tigers. 17 minutes played in the second quarter on ABC Sport.
Just the three behinds for the Saints in this quarter. That all come in the last 4 minutes. Brown comes dashing off half-back for the Tigers. Give over the top to Lawler. Kick down the line's a good one. Finds Blight. Mid-season draftee of last season. Cuts the kick on the angle inboard. Free kick to the Tigers. Thompson Dow has Hopper cruising past. And now the offload to Short, who's a clever user. He daps that one out wide to Miller. 70 from home. Front point of the square. Miller pokes the kick. Places it for Mansell. Just couldn't find him. The outstretched arms of Mansell couldn't hold on. Now Mason Wood in defence for the Saints. Hands off to Caminiti. Kicks an absolute shocker. Almost bounced its way to Ross of the Tigers. Jones was there to apply some pressure on the last line for the Saints. And now Wilkie to Collard. Hooks it around the body. Blasts it out of bounds on the full. This one's coming back. And it'll come back through Broad at left half forward for Richmond.
Not sure what Caminiti was doing there. He sort of half kicked the ball and it was 6 metres out from their goal.
Broad moves it across to Traynor. Starts the kick forward to Hopper.
You can do that when you're on the wing and your name's Nasiah Wanganeen Miller at Burma, but not if you're at fullback and your name's Anthony Caminiti.
Hopper, 60 metres out from goal, puts it into the pocket, hoping for a mark at the end. It's a Saints mark, and there he is. Caminiti takes the grab, knocked out of his hands, 50-metre penalty for the Saints.
Once again, Boomer, I feel like we're going to say the same thing over and over. The previous couple of entries from Richmond have been really quite good. That chaos ball, it's going to work for him. That long high ball in, just setting him up for an intercept.
Caminiti, the defender, plays on quickly towards Zach Jones, who just dodges around his opponent, sells some candy, puts the kick inside 50. St Kilda mark, Jack Higgins rises out of the pack and pulls the grab down for the Saints and sends a thumbs up to Zach Jones as well to acknowledge his kick.
It was great play by Jones. The Richmond player needed to keep him inside.
Higgins wastes no time, slots this one straight through the middle, breaks the string of 3 straight goals for the Tigers. And it's the Saints back ahead by 2 points. St Kilda 4-6-30, playing Richmond 4-4-28. Nearly 20 minutes played in the second term on ABC Sport. Your expert, Brent Harvey.
Yeah, Jacob Blight lets Zach Jones just come back on the inside of him. When you're like that, you're better off corralling and keeping him boundary side. At least your defenders will know where the ball's going. It will go straight over your hands and it needs to go in the air. And the Richmond defenders could have set up accordingly. But as soon as you let him come back inside, it opens up the whole forward 50. And little Jack Higgins, like a pop-up sprinkler, wasn't he? He come from nowhere and smallest man on the ground nearly took a uncontested mark inside 50 and a unconventional finish. The old snap. But that's what they all do now, isn't it?
Not surprising that he was grateful that they finally kicked it to him.
Yes.
So Higgins gets one back for the Saints. They lead by 2. We're into time on here in this second quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Taranto in the middle for the Tigers. He gets grabbed, got it away. Dow, his handball went missing. Owens is there for St Kilda. Toe pokes it inside the forward 50. Ball dribbles its way toward Collard. Taranto goes back there. Butters up, tackled by Hall and by Wilson. Ball up 45 out from the Saints goal. Joel Peterson, Lauren Gordon, Boomer Harvey, Kes Peterson with you. Keeler in ruck against Nankervis. Nankervis uses his size and his guile to get to the front and wins a free kick. In fact, it's going to Taranto, who was held off the ball for Richmond, subject of some criticism during the week, and his coach went into bat for him as expected. Flostone, now wide to Broad, had to come up and try and meet it, and Collard got a hand in there to knock it away. Some good defence for the Saints, who are just starting to put the clamps on now in their forward half. They lead by 2, 21 gone second term.
He looks like a player, young Collard, doesn't he? He does a lot of things defensively. We've seen a fantastic mark inside 50, finished his work, or he got a couple today.
Couple from his 4 disposals, and I think he had about 7 disposals in his first 2 games as well. So he's trying to work himself into the game a little more as Richmond, with the footy, send the kick right into the centre of the ground. It's Sonzi who hand passes over the top of his head. Mansell collects, spins around, and will put the kick just to the top of the 50 for the Tigers. Running onto it though is Zach Jones. He takes the ball and he's taken down in a strong tackle and brought to the turf. And it will be a ball up about 40 metres out from Richmond's goal. Jones getting helped up by his teammates. The umpire will ball it up just right at the top of the 50. Marshall and Nankervis there. Nankervis with his right hand palms it, but it's Garcia who picks up for the Saints. Plays the kick outside of defensive 50 and then plays around the footy. It ricochets towards Owens. It's stolen though by Taranto. Hand pass to Trezise, who flicked it across to Miller. Hand pass it to Hopper, and Hopper will go backwards now across to Floston.
Now to Broad. He's behind halfway. Comes out to Trainer. AFL logo broadcast side. He chips over the top to left half forward. Ross marks, immediately wants to move it on. Evades the tackle of Collard. Set up kick to fall forward. Nankervis is there, can't bring it down. Marshall could for the Saints. Immediately hands off to Wanganeen Miller, who kicks into Steely Green and sees it out of play. A throw in left forward pocket for the Tigers. Saints 4-6, Tigers 4-4. St Kilda by 12 points at quarter time. Richmond kicked the next 3 of the ball game. Saints have hit the front in this second term in the latter stages. McRae clears the immediate danger for St Kilda with a high kick. It's clutched to the chest of Mason Wood. Former Root.
He's become a very important player for the Saints, hasn't he? He can go forward, kick goals, enormous endurance, up and down the wings all day.
Mr. Fix-It he's become for Ross Lyon in his second go around at St Kilda. Handed off to Sinclair, who found Windhager eventually, to Garcia, who's been busy in double-digit disposals. Off to Burns, now Marshall, off to Wood, who kept on running, motors up toward half-forward, thumps the kick inside the 50 for Higgins. Back with the flight was Miller, and he infringed.
He didn't infringe. Jack Higgins, he'll play on quickly here, so I'll let you guys speak. But it's smart play by Higgins. I don't think Miller infringed at all. I think
Higgins knows how to make you earn it, and he knows how to finish as well. He curls it home on the left. 2 in a row for Jack Higgins and the Saints. 8-point lead. 5-6-36. 4-4-28 the Tigers. 24 gone. Second term. Our experts alongside Kieran Peterson is Boomer Harvey.
Yes, if you watch closely here, he actually makes contact with Miller, and it's super smart from a smaller player playing on a taller player, because Miller potentially probably could have put his hands up and touched the football. Jack Higgins, he goes in, he realises he's not going to mark it right at the very end. And then, Miller's probably had the momentum going forward, didn't he? But he just made sure there was enough contact there to get that free kick.
He was clever too, because he stopped himself from being shirt-fronted. He kind of got himself out of the way, drew the contact.
Arm got chopped.
That's right, arm chopped. There was no other decision that the umpire could have made in that situation. But annoyingly, as a defender, you hate to see a small forward do that, but very, very clever from the small forward.
Feel good to get 2 against your old side after Higgins was sent across to St Kilda about 5 years or so ago. It was short from the middle, tries to put Richmond back inside 50. It's a favourable bounce to go deep, goes past Armstrong though, and here comes Sinclair patrolling the back for St Kilda, puts the kick towards Wanganeen. Miller chasing after it, just slips out of his hands. McIntosh has a look in for Richmond. He can hand pass it out towards Green, who puts the kick right to the top of the 50, and then Curvis marks on the paint of 50.
That was a clever kick by Green. He had 3 St Kilda defenders kind of converging on him, and he was clever enough to stick that almost on the outside of his boot and hit up his captain, who was sitting 45 out from goal.
And Curvis had a goal denied a few moments ago after it hit the goal post. He'll just put the kick out to the hot spot. It's the right decision, because Campbell has held onto the mark. Campbell turns, spins, and Campbell puts through his third.
Great return, isn't it?
Richmond will not go away in this game, and late in the second quarter they've brought the margin back to 2 points. It's 5-4 Richmond playing 5-6 St Kilda 36. 26 minutes gone in the second term, and this game is very tight heading into half-time.
There's a lot of work going off the ball between Lynch and Wilkie. Lynch was very lucky not to give a free kick away there when Nankervis had the ball, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Webster's getting involved too. There's certainly a bit of feeling in this game, but isn't that a great example of just knowing your teammates well? So Nankervis just pulled his kick just beautifully to the top of the square for his teammate, and Campbell, who knew exactly what was going to happen, had almost an uncontested free run at the ball, showed off a little bit of athleticism, and as you said, a bit of feeling, a bit of niggle down in that Richmond forward line. It's good to see.
7 goals on the season for Seth Campbell, the Tasmanian off the rookie list a couple of years ago. It's no longer a surprise. He does good things on a regular basis. Out the middle, the Saints come this time. Jones flares the kick wide to Hall at left half forward. Brown just tries to corral him. Hall bites off the pass inside the 50 and finds Wood 48 metres from home. And Mason Wood is a lovely long left foot kick and should have no problems with the journey.
Max Hall, very nice. Turned on a 20-cent dime there and lowered the eyes. Mason Wood, again, knowing your teammates. Yes, Mason Wood hits up the football very, very hard. So, well done, Max Hall.
A couple of shots in that first period did Mason Wood. Missed the first, made the second. 26 touches last week and kicked 2 from right on the 50. Lets it go. It's beautiful. That's an absolute ripper from Mason Wood. Meanwhile, it's on in front of us. Lynch and Windhager are into it. So too are Wilkie and Taranto. Wanganeen Miller is coming across to get involved. I think they're a bit flat that the goal detracted from the fight in the end. Saints up by 8 points once more. 6-6-42 to the Tigers, 5-4-34. 3 minutes to play in this second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
No, I like that by Big Tom Lynch. So he was running off, and Windhager is obviously doing a decent job on Taranto. So it's one of the big guys looking after one of his little guys. As a player that used to get tagged a little bit, I was always looking for those big guys, your big Drew Petries and Hamish McIntoshes and Michael Fritos to look after you. And so it's fantastic by Tom Lynch, not just sitting there and copping it. Love that.
Margin hasn't gone beyond the quarter-time advantage of 12 points to the Saints. They now lead by 8 points late in this second term. Still a few minutes left in it. for Richmond to peg one back after starting the term so strongly. The umpire tosses it up in the middle and McRae goes chasing after it. Nankervis brings him down. He might have pushed him in the back in the process. He did. Free kick to the Saints midfielder, and McRae just puts it out to the City side wing, and ball runs onto it, takes the mark. And this is where the Saints have slowed down a little bit. And just ease the ball forward until Hall loads up and puts it right to the top of the 50. Owens, 2 hands to it, doesn't take the mark. Lofton did well to worry him out of it. Travalia has a go on the turf for St Kilda, and in the end it's Brown for Richmond that can move the ball out and put the ball forward towards the outer side of the ground. Armstrong had a go at it, couldn't take the mark, and in the end it's McRae who'll grab it up, Burns rather, who puts the kick right down the wing for St Kilda, but it's chopped off by Trezise, who flares the kick to short.
Short comes inboard. Ross just behind the centre circles for Richmond. They trail by 8 points. Nearly half an hour played in this second term. Broad's handball on the bounce. An awkward one for Blight. Made it work. Pushes the kick out wide to McIntosh. 60 from home at left half forward for the Tigers. And the yellow headband comes back to Broad. He's 75 from home. Comes into the corridor. Flostone between the edge of the centre square and the centre circles. Sends it long inside forward 50. Armstrong the target. Great tackle. Trezise onto it in a flash inside the forward 50 for Richmond. Trying to force an opportunity. Umpire says mine, and we'll have a ball up right forward pocket. Tigers into attack. Trail by 8.
Umpire throws the ball up. Nankervis gets a fingertip along it. Lawler overruns it, doesn't pick it up. He's helped out by Trezise, who takes the footy, but he's then taken in a strong tackle as well onto the Docklands turf by Garcia.
St Kilda won't want to concede one here late. They're going to have to do a good job locking down on the small forwards of Richmond.
Marshall sends the tap out towards a running Garcia. He couldn't take the mark. He couldn't grab it, rather. And so in the end, he does the tackling and he gives away the free kick with a high tackle. And it'll be a free kick to the Tigers and to Trezise, who will have it about 55 metres out from Richmond's goal late in the second term.
The 2-minute signs are up on the bench, so all the St Kilda players are pretty much in the defensive 50.
Trezise is going to 9-iron it to the pocket. Lynch is coming across through the hands of Marshall. Hungadone Miller puts the dance step on the behind line. Got it to Marshall. Now away to Hill. The Saints can generate some run. Hill drives it outside the defensive 50. Broad got the fist in on Owens. Thumped it back in the Tigers' direction. Burns kept it in. So too did Wilson. Hill's there at half-back. Owens, handball to Hall. Dropped it. Paddling inside the defensive 50 for St Kilda. They're under absolute siege at the moment, the Saints. The Tigers force them back 35 metres and get a stoppage in the left forward pocket.
It's a great example. You hear the coaches talk all the time about forward half game. Apply pressure, keep the ball in your forward half for Richmond, give themselves another opportunity to kick a goal going into half time.
Saints by 8 points, but the Tigers inside forward 50 trying to do just that. Green slides in. Saints numbers everywhere behind the contest. Armstrong tried to bullock his way through. Jones bumping bodies with him near the behind post. And it's out deep forward for the Tigers, another boundary throw-in.
The 5th stoppage in Richmond's forward 50 in the last minute and a half.
Tigers trailing by 8 points. Latter stages of the first half. Umpire throws the ball in. Nankervis tries to pull it out and he gets it down to Taranto, who hand passes it away. The ball will be moved just outside of attacking 50, and it's Broad who puts it back in there. Lawler can't take it for the Tigers. Still fighting for it. Garcia's in there for the Saints. Then Burns has a go. Tigers still going after it. Hopper's in there. He's on the turf. And he's brought to ground. Garcia bringing him there. And it'll be another ball up for the Tigers. Just enough time to score on the clock. They'll need a quick clearance here. The Tigers, 30 metres out from goal. It'll be balled up. Lockett end of the ground. Nankervis just can't gather it cleanly. It's on the turf. Bounces off the top of Campbell's head and down to the turf as the siren does sound to mark half-time here at Docklands Stadium. It's been a tight opening half and it's just 8 points the margin at half-time. So Richmond 5-4-34 are trailing St Kilda 6-6-42. It was 12 points the margin at quarter-time and now down to 8 points at half-time after the Tigers scored the first 3 goals of that second term. And then it was St Kilda with 3 of the final 4 during that second term. Goal kickers so far, it's Jack Higgins with 2 and Mason Wood with a couple as well for the Saints. Lance Collard and Max Hall with singles as well. Well, for Richmond, Seth Campbell has got 3 for the Tigers. Jacob Bauer with 1 and Tom Lynch with another. St Kilda by 8 points. Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson calling the action. Your experts on ABC Sport, Brent Harvey and Karen Peterson, sum up the first half for us. I think we've got maybe more than we've bargained for in this first half.
Well, 15 inside 50s the Saints had that. The Tigers had that quarter. They started like a house on fire, 3 goals to zip, and looked like they were going to run away with the game. To be frank, but I'm still suspect. Kaz, around their forward 50 entries, just with the one taller Tom Lynch. I know Nankervis gets down there every now and then. When they look like scoring, they were dropping the eyes. It just looked really good. The flow was on the ball. They were in transition, dropped the eyes, hit an easy target. It's when they went a little bit slower and methodical and tried to go back around the Saints and go back in that it just wasn't working. But I thought Mason Wood had a super quarter and probably a good half, but more importantly, the second quarter. He just looks like a player that is super important. We mentioned it through that quarter then. His work rate to get up and down the ground. He can get forward. He's a beautiful overhead mark. And as we've seen, he can finish from 50, 55. He's a fantastic kick. And then the Saints, quick transition from that set shot, or the stopping play, I should say. A little bit of a lapse from the Tigers. Defensive work. But I thought St Kilda, they look sharp. They look like a decent team in last week and then again in this first half. So it's going to be interesting because it's only 8 points of difference. So I'm looking forward to this second half.
It was certainly a much more entertaining second quarter than what it was in the first quarter. In the first quarter, both teams almost were in a way were just feeling each other out, just seeing what both teams were or the opposition were going to bring to the table, and it was slow and methodical and really wasn't particularly good entries from either team going inside forward 50. We talked about the goal efficiency once they did it. That was almost flipped on its head in the second term. Both teams out of the middle of the ground wanted to go fast. They wanted to play fast, to use the hands, and particularly Richmond, when they went through the middle of the ground, whether it was by foot or by the leg speed, they looked really good. They looked damaging. I remember the Layla kick inside once they took a mark and turned and played on almost immediately and was able to hit up a forward, and that's the method for them. To your point around, if you're the Richmond coaching staff, it's really clear what's working and what's not working. There's not much in between, and when they go quickly, and it's not panicking or going forward at a pace that they can't control, but they're not allowing the St Kilda defenders to set themselves up and play for the intercept mark. We've mentioned Wilkie a couple of times through the half, and just his ability to play in space and know when to come off and intercept or when to play that more traditional one-on-one. When Richmond move the ball quickly, they can catch him out of position, and it looks a lot better instead of what you were saying around the slow and methodical movement. Kaz, I've got a question for you. Your coach in Richmond, Ryan Mansell, I think is a really, really good player. He's had the 4 possessions, and I call it the graveyard shift. When you're a small and the ball's not coming in quite as quick as it should, you're sort of you're in nothing. You're in no man's land. I feel like they need to get him up the ground a little bit more, chuck him into some centre bounces. They got Taranto, who's not super quick. They got Hopper, who's not super quick. They got McIntosh, who can break lines, but he's not a beautiful kick, as we've seen today, Joel. Mansell's one of those players who can really break games open. Would you get him up the ground a little bit more? Well, I would. The only problem with that at the moment is I'm looking at the champion data score, and it looks like he's off the ground being assessed for an injury at the moment. So
okay, that's not a good thing.
Not 100% sure what the issue is, but to your point, if he wasn't in that position, absolutely, you want to look for an injection of speed. So I question for Richmond why they've got Cameron McIntosh in the middle of the ground. As you said, he's clearly not a particularly good kick, and whether it's not his day today or if that's just him, I just don't know why he's there. If he's not there as a defensive kind of role, I want some speed. I want to inject some excitement into the game, and he's the sort of player that can make things happen for them, similar to what Bolton was able to do for them last year. And without Bolton being there, he may be the one that can come into it. So for Richmond, hopefully Mansell's going to be okay and be able to take the field in the second half. Winhager versus Taranto, Joel? Well, Taranto had 11 touches to the half, so he only had 3 in the first term, so he managed to get his hands on the ball a little bit more, mostly across the half-back line. But for Richmond to get up in this game, they need to be able to break that tag, and we saw Lynch getting involved and trying to be a bit of a physical presence, trying to break that tag. Just on Taranto, so notably he's got 4 centre-bounce clearances, which is 1 more than St Kilda has as a team. Right. They're up 8-3 in centre-bounce clearances, Richmond, which is sort of the big discrepancy that favours them in the game so far.
0437 774 774, the text line if you'd like to get in touch with us. A question here from Paul. Is Tom Lynch in trouble for his hit on Liam O'Connell, who went out of the game with concussion in the first term? It was in a marking contest.
Yep, so we'll give Kez and Boomer a look at the replay at half-time. I have seen it, and my estimation of that is Ryan Mansell actually pushes O'Connell back into that contest, and that's what causes the collision with Lynch. So I think Tom Lynch would be pretty hard done by, but we'll put mine's better than mine to that at half-time.
Anything on Mansell, though, on the push? There's been a bit about the pushes into marking contests, or he's fine as well?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether that constitutes a reportable offence. So if it doesn't constitute a reportable offence, I'm not sure he can get suspended for it.
Boomer, one for you. Dennis in Mortdale, what does the phrase drop their eyes mean? I feel like it's one of those ones that punters maybe don't like in commentary when you tell a player to drop their eyes.
Yeah, well, just think exactly that. So when you've got the football, if you're looking over everybody, you're missing the first couple running at you. So you want to drop your eyes, keep your eyes low for those smaller players hitting up at you. Jack Higgins today should have nearly had 4 goals, maybe even 5, because he resets back towards goal and then hits back up at the ball carrier. And if your eyes are low, hence drop your eyes, normally you'll hit those small players. So sorry about using that language, but drop your eyes is exactly what it means.
Exactly. You're looking for players like Jack Higgins, and it's paid dividends for him. He's got a couple of goals today in the match so far at half-time. It's St Kilda ahead by 8 points, 6-6-42. Richmond 5-4-34. In South Australia, the Sheffield Shield final has just wrapped up. We'll be able to bring you the final runs of that match after the news, where we can check in and see if South Australia's been able to break their drought in the Sheffield Shield final. We'll be able to do that just after a trip to the ABC newsroom.
ABC News, I'm Eliza Getzi. The military government of Myanmar says the death toll from the 7.7 magnitude earthquake there has jumped to more than 1,000. East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood has more.
There are grave concerns about the country's ability to cope with the disaster after living through years of bloody civil war. The leader of the ruling military junta has asked for help from any country willing to give it, and the Red Cross and other aid groups have mobilised, while Russia has also sent rescue teams, according to its foreign ministry. In Thailand, at least 10 have been killed, and search dogs have been brought into the site of a skyscraper which was under construction and collapsed during the quake, trapping dozens of workers. Kathleen Calderwood, ABC News, Bangkok.
The search is continuing for workers trapped by fallen debris from the toppled high-rise in Bangkok, as the BBC's Arunaday Mukherjee reports.
Layers and layers of debris and mortar that's there. It just gives you a sense of how difficult the entire operation is going to be. They don't know who is where, they don't know where to really start or begin, but they have been doing the best they can. They haven't found any updates of any survivors at the moment. There were about 100 unaccounted for. We are getting some reports that out of all those unaccounted for, some of them have now been identified to be safe or injured, but that number is yet to be arrived at.
Back home, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has started his election campaign today in his opponent's electorate, declaring he's out to win new seats for Labor. Here's Isabel Rowe.
In Peter Dutton's electorate of Dixon in Brisbane's north, Anthony Albanese visits a local gym.
How long do you go for?
An hour. Peter Dutton holds the seat with a margin of 4.6%. The Prime Minister says he's put Labor's full resources into winning it.
What's the most marginal seat in Queensland?
His media event was interrupted by a protester.
What about the fact that people my age can't get any housing, we can't get rentals anymore, we have no future in this country anymore?
Mr Albanese says the Greens and Coalition voted against his legislation, delaying action on housing.
Over on the West Coast, WA Liberal Senator Michaelia Cash says she stands with farmers amid ongoing protests over the live sheep export ban. The federal government's plan to phase out live sheep exports by May 2028 has angered some farming communities in Western Australia. Keep the Sheep campaigners protested on Perth streets yesterday, claiming the decision would devastate people's livelihoods and regional communities. Senator Cash has pledged to overturn the ban if the coalition wins the election.
Peter Dutton and the WA Liberals, we will stand with our farmers every single step of the way, and we will reverse that disastrous decision.
Independent federal MP Andrew Gee has blamed an inexperienced staff member for a social media gaffe in which he appeared to be calling himself a good guy in a comment about his opponent's so-called dirty tactics. Xanthi Gregory has the details.
The comment was impersonating a disgruntled voter but posted on the Member for Callaire's official Facebook page. It was replying to his own post railing against lies Mr G claimed his former party, the Nationals, were using against him to reclaim the regional Western New South Wales seat. The now deleted comment said, "Thank you, Andrew G MP. I am new to the area and have received multiple texts from the Nationals and seen nasty ads in the paper from the Teal mob. It has helped me see who is the good guy." In a statement, a spokesperson for Mr G says it was made without his knowledge and he does not condone or support it.
A small southwest Queensland town is making urgent flood preparations as floodwaters make their way downstream. The Bulu River at Thargomindah currently sits at 6.25 metres, with the Weather Bureau forecasting it will continue to rise in the coming days. Bulu Shire Council CEO Tammy Warner says the flood has made its way to the outskirts of town.
Right now, there's water halfway up the football oval, coming into the old caravan park. And then on the backside of town, I suppose, we've got water starting to come in around those areas. So at the moment, if you're looking at us from the sky, I dare say Thargomindah's looking like a bit of an island.
Victoria Police say an aggressive man was chasing officers down a street in Melbourne's southeast before he was shot earlier today. Police were responding to reports of a fight when a man charged at officers attempting to arrest him. Acting Commander Wayne Viney says the 33-year-old is under police guard in hospital with minor injuries.
Whilst being arrested, he broke free from police members, chased police members down the street with this large metal pole. At that stage, one of the members, fearing for the life and safety of the other police members, that male was shot. So the matter will be investigated by the Armed Crime Squad under the supervision of the Professional Standards Command as per standard policy.
This is ABC News.
Life is busy, so you need a calendar for the important stuff, right? Like when to listen to your favourite sport. Plan ahead with the new ABC Listen app sports schedule. Find it at the top of all sport pages on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Darts the kick inside the 50, put it where only Lynch could access it, and the big man extends and pulls in the mark just inside the 50.
This is the hardest one that he's had today, and he'll probably go back and slot this, even though he's missed the two easier ones.
He'll have to kick from 50, and he's 5 in from the boundary line. Tom Lynch from right on the paint of the 50. The kick is pure.
And that's usually what happens, isn't it? Kicked a hard one, but he started that right at the left post. It's exactly what happened. From that pocket on the left side, the ball always slides to the right. He started that one right at the left post, and that was a sensational kick.
Hand passes it out to Sonzi. Darts the kick right inside 50. No mark can be taken by Lynch. He'll come backwards though, and there'll be a set shot at goal taken by Campbell, who has put this through the middle. Off the step, ping at the sticks. He's got his second. Right into the centre of the ground to Waller, who can spin around and put the kick inside, all with 50 for the Tigers. It'll be a mark for Richmond. Bauer holding on to the footy for the Tigers. Bauer sidesteps his way in. 51 metres out. Let's rip towards goal. And he's got it. The Tigers move back in front. Caminiti, the defender, plays on quickly towards Zach Jones, who just dodges around his opponent, sells some candy, puts the kick inside 50, St Kilda mark, Jack Higgins rises out of the pack and pulls the grab down for the Saints and sends a thumbs up to Zach Jones as well to acknowledge his kick. Higgins wastes no time, slots this one straight through the middle, breaks the string of 3 straight goals for the Tigers.
Marshall off to Wood, who kept on running, motors up toward half forward, thumps the kick inside the 50 for Higgins. Back with the flight was Miller, and he infringed. Higgins knows how to make you earn it, and he knows how to finish as well. He curls it home on the left. 2 in a row for Jack Higgins and the Saints.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
7 goals in that second term as St Kilda's lead was cut back to 8 points at half-time after they led by 12 points at quarter-time. St Kilda 6-6-42, Richmond 5-4-34. It's the 10th and final Maddies match here at Docklands. And St Kilda just with a slight advantage at half-time. Down the road earlier today, Melbourne defeated by 58 points by Gold Coast. So a couple of wins on the road for Gold Coast so far, and it's tough times at the moment for Melbourne. Over in South Australia, day 4 of the Sheffield Shield final. It is where players wrapped up just moments moments ago, in fact, that it did wrap up. It was an intriguing final in the end. So Queensland only scored 95 runs in that first innings, where we thought this match will be all done and dusted in a couple of days, but they fought back. But South Australia has just won the Sheffield Shield final by 4 wickets only moments ago. Jason Sanger hit the winning runs. He finished with 126 not out, and Alex Carey with a century of his own in the innings. Here's how the final moments played out on ABC Sport.
Callum Vidler has the ball for Queensland. Jason Sanger on strike on 125. Right arm over the wicket. Sanger plays it into the leg side and gets the winning runs. South Australia break their 29-year drought. Ryan Harris's first year as coach culminates in a domestic double. It's a 14th Sheffield Shield final trophy for South Australia, and they come from everywhere to celebrate. South Australian cricket fans flood Karen Rolton Oval to celebrate a historical moment in South Australian cricket.
So Aaron Bryans there, and flood it they did. They ran onto Karen Rolton Oval and just mobbed them like Buddy Franklin kicking his 1,000th goal.
And if you've not been to Karen Rolton Oval, Loz, so it's a ground just around the corner from the Adelaide Oval, across the road from the hospital, sort of at the intersection of Port Road and West Terrace in Adelaide. It's almost like a big natural amphitheatre where you've got the hill on one side, so people came streaming down this hill. They were absolutely, they're sort of 15 or 20 deep right around the ground. So clearly means a lot to South Australia. I lived and worked there for a year, and they were absolutely garbage when I was there. They could not win, the mouse race at the local footy club. But it's quite the turnaround that Ryan Harris has done with that South Australian team.
I was listening to Jason Gillespie, one of the ABC Sport experts, yesterday on the ABC Listen App, saying 29 years ago he played in the last final that they won. And he said people come up to him all the time and say, I was there. And he said, I reckon 150,000 people must have been there, given how many people come up to him. So you feel like there might be a few out there today at Karen Rolton Oval who'll be telling that story for a few years to come at least. Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson calling the action, Karen Peterson and Boomer Harvey, your experts on ABC Sport. We are at Dockland, so under the roof. It's a bit of an overcast day out there in Melbourne, but St Kilda ahead by 8 points. A few of the texts coming through on the text line. So g'day folks, loving the call, been driving, listening all day. I played country footy into my 40s, set shot kicking for goal, considering this is the elite level. Steve in Ballarat. Boomer, are we seeing you heading out to country potentially to kick a few goals in country footy?
Oh, I don't know about country. I think my footy days might be over. I'm coaching Yarrambat under 14s this year.
There we go. That's almost country footy?
Yeah, well, sort of country
borderline.
footy. So it's taken up a fair bit of my time. So I think my footy days might be done, unfortunately.
Oh, that's not good. Not good to hear.
Boxing. I'm doing a boxing. I'm fighting Hayden Ballantyne.
Ooh.
Over in Perth.
Hello.
The 26th of April. So there's a little scoop.
Nice. I feel like as long as you're not,
the little fellas,
as long as you're not fighting Hayden Ballantyne in a battle of lip, you probably win. He's good on the lip.
He's good on the lip. I think he goes all right in the ring too, but for a good cause, 0 to hero. So raise some funds and some awareness around some mental health stuff.
Very nice.
You want a fair bit of training for that, or what's it look like?
I am doing a little bit of training, and I'll tell you what, it's completely different than just going for a run. It is next level stuff. So I've been 5 days, I think, now into it. So only fresh, but it's bloody hard.
How do you go in the boxing ring, Kez?
No good at all. I don't mind boxing as a method of training, but no, I would run away from the ring if I was given the opportunity. So no, not for me.
Headgear, mouthguard, and 16-ounce gloves, so they're nice and big. So hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Hi team, enjoying the call. Fran from Melbourne. Seems Richmond chose the right coach moving forward. So Adamuse in his second season, and Josh from Ballarat as well. Come on, Sainers. Surely they should be toweling the Tigers up. Time to pull the trigger and take a few risks in the second half. So second halves have been the strength of Richmond so far this season. They've lost their first halves quite convincingly, but their second halves have been much improved throughout the 2 games they've played.
And the Saints have not won a quarter in a second half so far this season.
So Saints ahead by 8 points. Perhaps that stat shows that Richmond are looking to run away and try and take the lead against St Kilda. It's 8 points the margin, the Saints ahead. About to get the second half underway. The fans, I feel, have packed in. 35,000 was expected. It didn't look like that early on, but they have started to flood in, or they have flooded in. And it's a pretty good crowd looking around Dockland Stadium today. This twilight match in Melbourne following a game at the MCG a little earlier on, which saw Gold Coast defeat Melbourne. It's St Kilda by 8 points on ABC Sport. Here's Joel Peterson.
What a night of footy we've got ahead. GWS and Hawthorn down in Lonnie, Brisbane and Geelong up at the Gabba. You'll get it all on the ABC Listen app no matter where you are as you head in your separate directions at the end of our second half here. It's the Saints by 8 points and they get the opening centre bounce clearance. Ball finds its way to Wood. Hands off to Garcia. Kicks to full forward and Keeler. And he's outpointed by Blight, who looked very assured in that moment. Deep defence for the Tigers. Short kick to Hopper. Hopper comes over the top now for Miller. The big West Australian's got it inside the defensive 50. He darts his kick outside now to Lawler. Links up with Traynor running through the middle of Docklands. Trainor's just in front of halfway for Richmond. Back to Lawler. 70 from home as he looks up to set up the opening score of the second half.
Goes inside 50. Lynch flies. The ball will come to ground. It will stick where it is. Trezise laying on a strong tackle. So did Lynch.
Lawler had Mansell really hitting up at him. Only about 35-metre little chip kick. Felt like he needed to use that one.
There's Caminiti on the turf. Marshall just palms it down. McRae, long clearing kick. Wastes no time about it. Right into the centre of the field. Boston coming from behind. Good punch. Goes 20 metres right to the top of the 50 for the Tigers. Trezise with the footy might have been taken high. The umpire will come in and throw the ball up instead.
Yeah, it definitely was high, that one. Missed one, but great to see Mansell back on the ground for Richmond to start the second half.
So ball up, Garcia chasing after it, trying to get the clearance, and right close to the boundary line, he can get a kick away, sends it down. Mason Wood, 2 hands above his head, got 2 mitts to it, but couldn't take the mark he wanted to claim it. But it spills out of the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in just right in front of Lance Collard, getting some work done on the St Kilda bench. The Saints ahead by 8 points, no change to the halftime score. A couple of minutes into the third quarter at Docklands.
Marshall and Nankervis bump bodies, slapped out toward the boundary line. Dow and Travalia give chase. Wilson chases it toward the boundary, then threw a boot at and socketed out of bounds on the full. That was a strange decision from Darcy Wilson.
That was as strange as I've seen. I couldn't go anywhere else than out of bounds on the full.
Just jumped over the footy or done literally anything else with it. And just in a moment of panic for a man who's been so professional and diligent in his first season and a half at the top flight, played every game last year for the Saints. The Wangaratta product. Miller, high kick out of fullback for Richmond. Wangadeen Miller through the pack. Taranto kept it in cleverly. Got around Marshall, who then got around him. Taranto drags the big fella to the deck. And the ball spills out of play in front of the interchange, and they're on for it after as well. Taranto and Marshall getting busy with one another. It'll be tossed back in over Rowan Marshall's head if he's not careful. 6-6-42 the Saints, 5-4-34 Richmond. 3 gone third term on ABC Sport.
Taranto goes to the turf, doesn't get a free kick for it. They're still pushing and shoving, Windhager and Hopper. As Marshall does run back to take his place alongside Nankervis, he gets cast aside by Toby Nankervis. And then Nankervis just takes the kick, a spiralling kick right to the top of the 50, falls to ground. It's taken by Webster, he's dispossessed of the footy, comes out and Sinclair. Hand pass to Wanganeen Miller, who just flares the kick right into the centre of the ground. Did not look where he was kicking it to. And McIntosh comes in with an easy intercept mark for the Tigers. You can set them up from centre half forward. Dabs the kick inside 50. It's the perfect kick and he pops it up to the man of this first half in Seth Campbell.
Gee, that was a bad kick, Boomer.
We thought Wilson's decision was poor.
That's a 30-metre kick without even looking into the middle of the ground. Really ordinary.
Seth Campbell loads up on his kick from 55 metres out and misses to the right-hand side. Behind now to Seth Campbell's 3 goals he's got so far this afternoon. The margin now for St Kilda, they are 7 points ahead. 4 minutes played in the third quarter on ABC Sport. Here's Joel Peterson.
Already been a career afternoon for Seth Campbell. He had 2 a few times before today. 3 in the first half for Richmond.
Small forwards, you get 3, you want 4, you get 4, you want 5, and it's just going to happen all day. Probably had a few options there that he could have did before having a shot from goal from 55 out.
Hopefully he can snowball for him. Wood finds Marshall out at half-back, down the line for Hall, who's showed some signs for the Saints. Recruit from Box Hill last season, back to Wilkie. And now back to Webster. He can swing it across the ground to the broadcast side for Wangadeen Miller, and it all opens up for St Kilda. But this time it's a better decision and a better finish from Wangadeen Miller. Found Burns, off to Wood. Wood from 50, kicks to the pocket. It's a lovely bit of delivery to Owens, who marks in the left forward pocket. A couple of paces in from the paint, 25 from home. Waste no time and go around the body by the looks.
He's standing too far from the man on the mark. If you're going to snap, he's got to be another 5 metres in, closer to goal.
35 out, Mitch Owens, right foot kick around the body, and he left it narrow. Maybe the distance would have paid dividends in the end.
Joel, that's poor forward craft there, because when you're snapping, they can't come forward anyway. You've got to go close as you possibly can. He needed to understand that.
So Trainer moves the ball out of defence and can find Dow. 45 metres out from defensive goal for the Tigers. Started each of the previous 2 quarters with a goal. Opening stages of this third one, he chips it out to Ross, who marks to get ahead of Hasty. It was a late in, Jack Steele a late out with knee soreness. Angus Hasty the sub. Liam O'Connell subbed off in the first quarter with concussion, meaning Hasty came on as the kick comes right down the wing, and it's Caminiti who can take the intercept mark. 15 goals in 15 games last year, and now he seems to have found his spot sitting back there in the back 6 for the Sainers. Long kick right down the wing. Wood's there if he can get a hand to it. Keeler has a go as well. McRae on ground level takes the footy, just gets a hand pass away to Travalia. Puts the kick right to the top of the 50 over the head of Higgins and Blight, and Blostington coming there. Quickly hand pass it towards Blight. It was too far down for the big man to go and collect the footy, so the ball will fall out of play about 55 metres out from St Kilda's attacking end. They hold on to an 8-point lead 6 minutes through the third quarter. Saturday Arvo footy on ABC Sport.
Ball chucked back in. Marshall and Nankervis do battle right on the paint of the 50. Ross had it and lost it. Spills out the back for the Saints. McRae. Little fleet of foot on the arc. Centering ball through the hands of McIntosh. Picked up by Hall. Running away with it. Snapping and missing. Here's Max Hall away to the near side. 9-point spread. Saints ahead. 7 gone third term on ABC Sport.
Jim McRae's a good player, isn't he?
Well,
classy.
He is, and he's a great kick.
The kick wasn't great.
Well, not on that particular occasion, but it's amazing how many AFL players overcommit defensively and allow him to come back through the middle of the ground. If he just corralled in the defender, I'm not sure who it was from Richmond, it would have been a really challenging kick, but yeah, really poor defensive work.
Nick Boston's kick eventually comes to Campbell, who flares it out wide as he's falling, and Earl Marshall steps back there at centre wing on the dock side of the ground to intercept the mark. He's got Tom Lynch on his mark, and he's told to play on. Just chips it towards Ryan Burns. Not 15, would have been about 14. Burns has to play on and finds Darcy Wilson, who marks.
They're hot on this new 15, aren't they?
Yep, they are. Last year that would have 100% been paid a mark, but it's Wilson who wheels around 60 metres out from goals. He was looking for Keeler. Owens came in, will claim the mark.
Free kick.
Free kick. Another free kick to Luke Trainer on Docklands, and he just chips it to Boston.
Right up in the goal square as well for Trainer. And Owens and Trainer are going on with it after the fact. Boston just stands there and watches, then blasts his kick out wide toward the boundary line. Lawler in front, Caminiti over the top, brought it down. McRae the tackle, but it ends up in Tigers' hands. Campbell to Lawler. Lawler's kick to the edge of the arc. Webster.
Well done.
Charges up at the football, body lines it, takes the contact from Mansell and pulls it into his chest. And then bounces the kick to Wilkie inside the defensive 50. Outlet kick looking for Hall. Went past it, was first back to it. Got it to Wood. Mid-air handpass from Mason Wood was very crafty. And then Hall's kick into the centre corridor. Bounced away from Travalia. Picked up by Ross. Dumped in the turf by Travalia, who wins the free kick. Play on an advantage to the Saints. Sinclair stabs it inside the 50. Mark taken by Marshall. 30 from home. Slide angle right of centre.
There's a few things that we could comment on in that passage of play, Boomer, but the Mason Wood 360 catch the possession and handball in one was probably a highlight on that one, but geez, that kick from, I think it was Sinclair in the end. Ron Marshall made that look very, very good.
So think of an alley-oop in basketball. That's what Mason Wood was like, an alley-oop in football with a handball, and you're spot on about that kick. Again, that's dropping the eyes for that caller that text that came through. Dropping your eyes, hit the one that's coming right at you.
Kick 3 against the Tigers late last year. Rowan Marshall on his way in for his first this evening. He dobs it. And the Saints are out to a game-high 15-point lead to start this third term. They get the first of the second half and go to 7-8-50 to Richmond 5-5-35. Nearly 10 minutes played, third term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Kes Peterson and Boomer Harvey.
Kes, let's go back to the very first passage of play that started, and that was Webster coming forward.
Yep.
He left his direct opponent, probably came 30 metres off his direct opponent to intercept Mark, switched the ball. Wilkie, Mason Wood, we already touched on that. The finish by Sinclair to Marshall was sensational, but let's pump up Webster there. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
Courage to come off his man first of all.
You're right.
But execute the mark.
It was the timing that he left as well. A second later or a second earlier, and that wouldn't have come off.
Yep.
So great decision. It's a brave decision too, because if it goes to his direct opponent, he's in all sorts, but really brave decision.
Saints out to a game-high 15 points as it's Lawler from the middle. Hand passes it across to Trezise. He tried to put the kick forward towards Sonzi. Burns steals it off him. Hand pass to Jones, who hand passes to Wilson, and the Saints can move it down the city wing. McRae hand passes it across to a running Jones. They're moving the ball quickly here. St Kilda inside 50 they go. Blight had front position for the Tigers. Brought it to ground, get some help from Brown. Hill comes charging in for the Saints. Hand pass to Keeler. Hand passes it across. Collard has the footy now close to the boundary line for the Saints, but fumbles it over the line, so very quickly gaining territory, St Kilda. And they've worked their way to a ball in 30 metres around from the Saints' goals, holding on to that 15-point lead 11 minutes into the third.
Yeah, to put some speed on the ball, the Saints. I'd love to see them play a little bit more freely like that more often.
Keeler and Nankervis in ruck. Marshall sitting behind the play. Spills to the turf. There for the taking. Hill takes it. Windhager tries to lay a desperate tackle. Gives away a free kick as he grabbed Thompson Dow a bit high. Dow wants to play on around Keeler. Whacks his kick outside the defensive 50, up toward the wing. Lynch flies, can't take it with him for the Tigers. Bashes it back in the direction of Webster for the Saints. Now to Sinclair. Little one over the top was clever to Hill. Hill moves it on immediately. Drives it long and strong to Sharman. Takes the mark at the top of the goal square. He got rid of Traynor all too easily. And Cooper Sharman in game 50 should have no trouble putting this one through.
Well called, Grima. It's their prime movers that are getting going for St Kilda. It's Sinclair and it's Hill and it's Jones. And for a young defender in Traynor, that's a good lesson in a one-on-one battle, just not able to keep his feet.
He's taken the road less travelled to get to this moment, Cooper Sharman. And he stabs that one through in game 50. And that is a moment to celebrate. And the Saints are out by 21 points. 8-8-56 St Kilda to Richmond 5-5-35. It's a really good story, Cooper Sharman. So he's from Leeton Whitten. He's from Leeton in southern New South Wales. Moved to Melbourne to study accounting at uni. Went and played for Rocket Eat at Baldwin. Got picked up by the Oakley Chargers. Played in the grand final win with Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson in that super team. And then during COVID moved back to Leeton. Got picked up by Woodville West Torrens in the Sandful. He was playing reserves. Got drafted by the Saints with the third last pick in the mid-season draft. And he's been in and out. And on debut, he was the unused Medi-sub. So 49 really? Games later, he gets to a milestone.
It's a fantastic story, and that's perseverance if you've ever heard of it. It's fantastic to hear.
So there we go. Cooper Sharman gets the goal. Zach Jones takes the footy from the middle. Wanganeen Miller goes with a 1-2 with Keeler, and Wanganeen Miller quickly puts the footy inside forward 50, just too tall for Owens. It'll be picked up by Sharman in the pocket, has another go. And it's just across wide, was dribbling that across the face of goals. A quick kick from him, just to behind. St Kilda's lead now 22 points. 13 minutes played, third term, ABC Sport.
Alarm bells for Richmond. It's really where they need their leaders to step up now. Looking at Taranto, looking at Hopper, Nankervis. They really need to settle the young troops.
Miller puts the kick in from fullback, drives it long down the line. Been a tough day for Harry Armstrong, but he keeps presenting. He was the front of that pack. Slapped on by Hasty, got it to Wanganeen Miller, and now to Owens. It opens up the hall, runs through left half forward, inside the 50, chiselling kick in, boards a beautiful one. And here's Cooper Sharman again. This time he's 40 metres out, slight angle to the left.
So, Kez, when you put speed on the ball like the Saints have in the last 6 minutes, you get the one-on-ones down back, and it's so hard to defend. When you're playing that methodical style of play that we've been commenting on all day pretty much from both teams, it gives the opposition a chance to get down and get numbers and get your third man up. But when the ball's coming like this, it's way too hard to defend.
18 goals from 18 games last year for Cooper Sharman, and he's got 2 in his first game of this season. Set shot is very nice. And St Kilda are skipping away, out by 28. 9-9-63, plays 5-5-35. 15 minutes played in this third terms. All Australians, your experts, Kes Peterson and Boomer Harvey.
Spot on, Boomer. Most teams, I'd nearly say all teams, someone can prove me wrong on that if I have, but they drop the winger back, and which gives them a +1 behind the ball. It tends to be the way that the teams are operating these days, and then they'll push a small forward into the wing role, so that's how they generate the +1. So when teams go really slow with their ball movement, we've been talking about that through the first half in particular, often you do get that outnumber or you get the +1 in the contest, and it can be much easier to defend because you've got the numbers around the ball. But the 6-6-6 rule, since it's come in, it gives you an opportunity to play one-on-one football, which is much easier to move the ball with.
So Saints now ahead by 28 points. Play restarts in the middle. Windhager and Jones dive on top of the footy, and it's all wrapped up. Saints having scored 6 of the last 7 goals to make their way to a sizable margin at the moment as Jones contested the ruck. He tried to slap it behind him. It'll be a free kick to him, play on advantage. Hill takes it, hand passes it across to Collard, puts the afterburners on, takes the bounce, takes the snap, and hits it into the post.
Deserved the goal. Fantastic. Love seeing young kids take the game on. Broke off the line perfectly. Just needed to execute. Nearly got there, hit the post.
Jesus, quick, isn't he?
St Kilda ahead by 34 points. 16 minutes played, third term.
He actually made
29.
He actually made himself look a little bit quicker there too, Kez, because what he done was broke off the line and saved himself 1 or 2 seconds.
You just like anyone that's going to run through and take a bounce, I reckon, Boomer.
Yeah, that could be correct as well, Joel.
Ticks a box. Long kick out of defence for the Tigers. He slapped over and out for a ball in.
It's exciting though, isn't it? That's what the sport has come to see.
Absolutely. When you've got space in front of you and you can put the afterburners on and run away from someone, there's no better sight in football for me. It's better than a high mark or a really good goal.
Big future ahead of him. Turns 20 on Wednesday. Lance Collard, 28th pick in the 2023 draft out of Western Australia. Plenty of tricks in his kit bag. It's going to come back here after the stoppage. Free kick to Taranto. Ryan Mansell still getting some treatment done downstairs. Caleb Smith's getting a little bit loose on the bench for the Tigers. The unused sub so far. As Loz said earlier, Angus Hastie is into the game, having replaced Liam O'Connell, who was subbed out in the first quarter with concussion. Jack Steele was the laid out for the Saints this afternoon. Hopper to short from in front of the interchange. The Tigers come back defensively to the edge of the arc, trailing by 29 points, having been close for most of the ball game. And now Broad comes back to Hopper, who's still behind halfway for Richmond.
Hopper unsure of what to do with the footy, holds onto it and gets a play on, goes for a little bit of a run and just bangs it to a pack that's congregating near the boundary. Wanganeen Miller gets it over for a throw-in between wing and half forward for the Tigers. From Roos in Bendigo, loving the call. Yes. Who's playing with their socks up today? That was an earlier conversation talking about players with the high socks.
I don't know that there's anyone out there. Maybe named Curvis, but he's got the sort of the shin guards
buffs don't count.
Strapped.
Yeah, that's actually a good call, Kez.
Well, his socks are down. He's just got the big shin guards on.
Camden McIntosh has got the middies on.
And he's got the headband, which is kind of socks up. It's a statement. As it comes out, Dow grabs the footy, hand passes it back to Hopper, who's going back, trying to get away from Zach Jones. Spirals a kick right to the top of the 50. It's a rare inside 50 for Richmond this quarter. And it's chopped up by Hastie. Flares the crick across to Webster. Back, centre-half back pocket, rather. And he's marched 50 metres after he was encroached upon the mark by Campbell. So he'll move his 50 metres up right into the centre of Dockland Stadium.
It's the first kick of the game for young Gus Hastie. Webster launches into that long left boot and sends it to full forward, and Owens had an acre of space in which to work. He drifted across the face of goal and pulled it in on a slight angle 25 metres from home.
Yeah, Kez, you mentioned it before. The Richmond leaders really need to stand up at this stage because they did so well in the first half. 8 points of difference at half-time. Now, they just don't want this to be a blowout. And if they don't kick any more score, 35 is a low score, isn't it? And they'll just walk away super disappointed.
So Mitch Owens with a couple of behinds to his name so far today. So versatile and dynamic up front and showing it there. No trouble converting for Owens. The Saints with 4 goals unanswered in the quarter. 5 either side of half-time in a row. And they're now doubling the score of the Tigers late in this second term. 5-5 Richmond, 10-10 St Kilda. The gap is that 35 points. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Only 3 inside 50s for the Tigers for the quarter.
Yeah, and they've been shallow entries too, Boomer. They haven't been convincing at all. They've certainly gone to work on Lynch. They're still getting stuck into him. He's I don't know if he's losing concentration or what's going on, but he seems to be more interested in throwing his weight around, and he just needs to be a little bit careful to not give away a free kick. But St Kilda are doing what good teams do, and that's putting a young, inexperienced team to the sword.
Richmond are going to make the sub here too. Harry Armstrong, who's had a tough day, just the two handballs, is out. Caleb Smith into the game.
And right in the middle, it's another St Kilda clearance coming the way of McRae, who darts back and then moves forward, and he goes towards Collard, and the mark won't be taken because Tom Brown had front position. And the Richmond defender wins the footy, and he wins a free kick as well, a 50-metre penalty.
You want to take off here, you want to go. If you've got the ball in hand, see if you can challenge the St Kilda defenders, but he sort of just trotted at barely a jogging pace, and now unfortunately for Richmond, St Kilda defenders have got numbers back, and there's just no space for the Richmond forwards to work into. So a couple of lessons being learnt by some of the young Tigers players today, and that's one of them.
And this is going to be a set shot, so he's backing himself here, but he's going to have to kick this 52, 53 metres.
He's a good kick.
He is a good kick. The ones you don't like is the ones that just land on the line, they punch it through. Coach Killer.
Tom Brown will go in. He'll be kicking this from 51 metres out. Launches the kick. That is superb from Tom Brown. He backed himself in and he nailed it.
Kez?
Yeah, I'll take it back.
That's why he didn't sprint off, and that's why he can back himself from 50. That was... And he kicked that over the fence and went to about row 12 there, so he had the distance. That went 60 metres. Beautiful finish.
Breaks the run of 5 straight St Kilda goals. And Tom Brown, the defender, second goal of the season, 6th goal across his career.
He would have kicked that over the bridge from Marupna to Shepherd, it was.
And that's about a 5k bridge, so that's not bad from him. St Kilda now 29 points to the advantage of the Saints. 6-5-41 Richmond, St Kilda 10-10-70.
Yeah, happy to eat my words on that one, Boomer, because you're right. He backed himself the minute that 50 metres was called. He wandered as if he was just getting his breath back. And again, similar to what we saw with Collard and St Kilda, you want to see young players back yourself, and he knew that he had the leg on him, so good on him.
Son of Paul, former Cats player and brother of Millie, who was at the Cats and the Dogs in the AFLW.
He's working with Carlton VFLW team at the moment, Joel.
Very talented player, Millie Brown.
For those Richmond supporters listening in, Vlosten standing at full forward.
There you go. Nick Vlosten with a bit of a change of scenery, just the 29 goals in his 236 games. So repeat stoppage in the middle. Windhager fashions the kick out wide. Paul's been busy, gets dragged down by a couple of Tigers. Tresize was one of them. Travalia comes in to provide support, but there'll be a ball up out of sight of the ground. 10-10-70, plays 6-5-41, 23 gone third term. Massive night of footy ahead on ABC Sport. Hawthorn and the Giants from Lonnie, Brisbane and Geelong from Queensland. 2 games to choose from. You'll get them all on the ABC Listen app. Mansell's kicked down the line, looking for Bauer. Thrashed away from him in defence by Hasty. Sinclair, a little bit of a wrestle on behind play with Mansell involved as well. Short kick to Marshall, not paid the required distance. Handball off to Wangadeen Miller, who's calm in a crisis. Got it on to Sinclair, back to the run, dash and flare of Nazire Wangadeen Miller, turns it over by hand. Here's Brown at half-back, dribbles a kick out wide, then a tackle's laid and rewarded by Jack McRae. Thought he might have got the Richmond player high, nothing for it, kicks inside the 50 and Sharman stretches to mark. He's having a purple patch here in this third term. Flares it across the face of goal. Looking for Higgins. Wood in from the back. Neither can take it. Spills to ground. Owens there. 25 from home. Goes back by hand to Garcia. They've worked themselves into an awful amount of trouble here, the Saints. Garcia around the body to fall forward. Travalia's there. He can't mark. Wood comes in. Off the handball. Thought it might have been a mark. Now back to Owens. In the pocket. Snaps and scores. It was anything but pretty for the Saints, but when you get the result, it does not matter.
Well, I hope they get over to Mason Wood also, because he's the one that came forward, intercepted that ball, broke a couple of tackles and got the handball out. He's been fantastic today, Mason Wood, and only 2 players went over to him. They all went over to Mitch Owens because he's the one that finished with the goal, but I'm sure on the Monday review, the coach will be signalling out Mason Wood.
Back-to-back goals for Mitch Owens as far as St Kilda's concerned. His second for the afternoon. Saints by 35, 25 gone. Third term on ABC Sport.
Mike, didn't they make hard work of that, Boomer? Just the weight of numbers, though, they were able to get, and you're right, it was Mason Wood who worked really hard from the wing down to create a 2-on-1. I think it was, I don't remember who it was. Sharma wasn't who kicked that ball in, so it was just through work rate that they were able to overcome Richmond defenders on that occasion.
Umpire throws the ball up and Hopper tries to do his best for Richmond, barges through, hand pass to Nankervis, hand pass to the sub in Smith onto the field, flares it out wide towards Sonzi, plunks the mark and then just chips forward to Ross. And Richmond holds onto the footy again.
What are we at now? About 35 points, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a big margin. Could blow out.
Ross with a long kick. He'll get it right to the top of the goal square for the Tigers. The umpire blows his whistle and has found a holding free kick going the way of the Tigers. And none other than their captain and ruckman Toby Nankervis to take it for them. An important kick for the Tigers late in this third term to keep them in touch. So Nankervis will have his shot. Slight angle, about 20 metres out from goals. Hasn't kicked a goal yet today. Has had a couple of opportunities. Dabs this one off to the right-hand side. Probably one he should have kicked there, Nankervis, and he leaves it out there. Margin now 34 points to the advantage of the Saints. Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson, Brent Harvey and Kez Peterson on ABC Sport.
Turnover from Wanganeen Miller. The Tigers can pounce. Mansell from the left forward pocket dribbles it into the post.
Yeah, they've had some chances. You take Tom Lynch's first couple of shots on goal. Nankervis then should have kicked that goal. Mansell probably should have done a little bit better as well. There's 4 goals.
And then moving it quickly now, the Saints. Burns to Wilkie, runs the kick out of 50. Kick across to Cooper Sharman, centre wing. He flares it out wide to Collard. Hand pass to Hill. Collard still running. Hill just slows up a tad, right on the pain of 50. He'll kick the kick inboard and he goes towards Travalia. Can't mark. Spills out to Higgins. He'll have a snap. It'll bounce high. Will it be touched on the line? It will. It will. The bounce was going towards the goals and right on that last line it was touched over. So
yeah. Brown did everything there and didn't touch the ball. I thought it was going to bounce through for a goal.
It's now 35 points the advantage of the Saints.
Both teams just bouncing it around at the moment. Richmond waste no time bringing it back in. Turn it over. Windhager, Wanganeen Miller to Hill, who juggles the mark 45 metres out. It bounced off his chest. Brad Hill had enough time to turn around and pull it back in with his left hand. And he is directly in front of goal.
What's he had today there, Joel? Is it 15 touches? This will be his 16th lining up for a goal. It's been pretty quiet the first 2 rounds for the Saints.
Plenty of experience that this man brings to the table for this young Saints side. Gets close to the man on the mark, drives the kick goalward and drives it through. And gets both arms out in celebration. Second of the young season for Brad Hill. And the Saints lead out to 40 points, which is as big as it's been in the game. 12-11-83, Richmond 6-7-43, 28-minute mark, third term on ABC Sport.
Good finish by Hill. He's been relatively quiet probably by his standards, but he's certainly got going in the last quarter and a half. All of his possessions have been in, I think he's up to 16, you mentioned, Boomer, but all of them have been in really important spots in the middle of the ground. They haven't been cheap kicks around the boundary or anything like that. He's starting to use his legs and real drive off the half-back line and the midfield for St Kilda. They've been really good, but this is exactly what we kind of expected them to do, which was Richmond did a good job going with St Kilda at their pace for the first half, and as good teams should, they've been able to really put the foot down in the third term and blow this game wide open.
Play restarts in the middle. Travalia runs after it. Beaten to the footy by Dow, who takes it for Richmond. Hand pass to Taranto. Just a dinky kick. It works for McIntosh, who marks on the edge of the centre square. And he has Smith running for the footy, showing a bit of a dash after coming on as the sub. Puts it out wide. And he's able to find Steely Green. Steely Green is 55 metres out from goal. And like we've seen today from the Tigers, all he can do is pop it to a hot spot at the top of the 50. No mark could be taken by Bauer, who rose. Hopper picks it up and just kicks it into some space in the left forward pocket. And that'll be a throw in to the left of the behind post for the Tigers.
Found himself in some space, Hopper. You'd expect him to finish a lot more.
Put his fair old wedged under the fence there. It did not move after it went in. The boundary umpire cannot get it out of under the fence.
Lucky there's about 12 balls that they play with, so move on.
They're going to need some kind of instrumentation to retrieve that ball later on tonight. They're going to have to dismantle the advertising hoardings. Ball thrown back into play. McRae clears the defensive 50. Clearly no one as interested in that as I am. Hall, handball on the up. Travalia can't find the handle. Turn it over to Tresize. He goes out wide. Short. Running out of space. Tied up against the boundary line. Hooks the kick in board as he goes inside the 50. Froston was there. Seen across the line by Mansell. And that football just bounces safely off the advertising hoardings and back to the boundary umpire. It'll be thrown back into play. 35 around from the Richmond goal. Left forward pocket. They trail by 40 points. Past half an hour gone in this third term.
Yes, that was probably the perceived pressure on Jacob Hopper then. He had so much more time.
Wilkie comes in and just a long clearing defence from the reliable defender right out into the centre of the ground. It was well read though by Blight, the 198cm Richmond defender who stands on centre wing. He tells his teammates to slow things down a bit. He kicks right into the man on the mark in Keeler, and it'll be St Kilda on here. Hill has the footy. He's got no one ahead of him. He needs someone to run. That man is Jack Higgins. It goes over the top of his head. He taps it into the left forward pocket, trying to get it to his advantage, but Broad was there, beats him there quicker, and he'll run out and send the ball well out of bounds on the full as the siren sounds to mark three-quarter time. And we welcome our listeners as well, right on the stroke of three-quarter time, coming from the Sheffield Shield final. So it's some very happy South Australian listeners coming in to join us. St Kilda v Richmond. It's three-quarter time here at Docklands. 12-11-83, the Saints leading Richmond 6-7-43. Lauren Borden and Joel Peterson calling the action. Carlton captain Karen Peterson and North Melbourne legend Brent Harvey, your experts on ABC Sport. St Kilda absolutely dominated in that third quarter, and that is how the margin has got out to 40 points. The goal kickers so far in this match, a couple to Jack Higgins, 2 to Mason Wood and 2 to Cooper Sharman as well. Lance Collard, Brad Hill, Mitch Owens, Ron Marshall and Max Hall all with singles for St Kilda. While for the Tigers, Seth Campbell has 3 and singles to Bauer, Brown and Lynch. It is St Kilda by 40 points at three-quarter time. We'll be heading to the Gabba in just a moment to get a preview up there of the rescheduled match between Geelong and Brisbane. This is Saturday Arvo Footy on ABC Sport.
Hello, Patrick Stack here. Do you like sport and good conversation? Then we've got a great podcast for you. One cracking story, in depth, every day, in under 15 minutes. It's called ABC Sport Daily, and you can find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Hill moves on immediately, drives it long and strong to Sharman. Takes the mark at the top of the goal square. He's taken the road less travelled to get to this moment, Cooper Sharman. And he stabs that one through in game 50. And that is a moment to celebrate. Now to Owens, it opens up the hall, runs through left half forward, inside the 50, chiselling kick in boards, a beautiful one. And here's Cooper Sharman again. 18 goals from 18 games last year for Cooper Sharman. And he's got 2 in his first game of this season. Set shot is very nice. Webster launches into that long left boot and sends it to full forward, and Owens had an acre of space in which to work. He drifted across the face of goal and pulled it in.
Now they just don't want this to be a blowout, and they'll just walk away super disappointed.
So Mitch Owens, so versatile and dynamic up front, and showing it there. No trouble converting for Owens. Wood comes in, off the handball, thought it might have been a mark. Now back to Owens, in the pocket, snaps and scores. It was anything but pretty for the Saints, but when you get the result, it does not matter.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A big effort from St Kilda sees the Saints lead at Docklands by 40 points at three-quarter time. 12-11-83 to Richmond 6-7-43 earlier today. Gold Coast were big winners against Melbourne, and there are 2 games coming up tonight as well for Western Australia and Tasmania. You'll be heading to Hawthorn and GWS at York Park, but for most of our audience, you'll be heading up north to Brisbane and Geelong, playing at the Gabba in that rescheduled opening round match. Matt Clinch is heading up the call team up there, and Clinchy, I think we've got you. You've ditched our overcast weather down here for a trip up north.
Yes, I have, Loz. 1 month into the AFL season. As you said, we get the season opener that never was due to Cyclone Alfred. Brisbane and Geelong from a wet Gabba. Ironically, we've had around 40 millimetres of rain over the past 24 hours. So our thoughts are those in the state's southern corner where flood warnings have taken place. But it's a rematch of last year's preliminary final at the MCG where Brisbane prevailed by 10 points before going on to win their 4th premiership. The Lions are 2 wins and 0 losses despite a scratchy start with come-from-behind wins over Sydney and the West Coast Eagles. They're bolstered tonight by the return of small forwards Charlie Cameron from calf tightness. He was laid out against Sydney, and Kai Loitman, who had an ankle injury against the Swans. So combined for 80 goals last season, they're back. And Geelong has made just the one change following their 7-point loss to St Kilda last week. Prized off-season recruit Bailey Smith returns after a calf concern. So Mark O'Connor is the unlucky cat. There were close eyes on Tom Stewart, given he had that PCL injury, which he was subbed out last week against the Saints. But he has been named, but we'll wait and see tonight when the teams run out. Connor O'Sullivan was also named as the round 2 Rising Star nominee last week for the Cats. So Brisbane have had a good record here at the Gabba since really the midway part of the season, but these are always great contests. As you said, 2 blockbuster matches tonight with the match taking place in Tassie. So we'll keep you across both. Michael Price to call the action with me, Jason Ackermanis, Matthew Primus and Jess Stewart. We can't wait. It's going to be the Brisbane Lions and the Cats from the Gabba.
Thanks, Clinchy. Looking forward to that. So Brisbane and Geelong, the Gabba is where most will be heading after our game. Western Australia and Tasmania will get Hawthorn and GWS at York Park. Here at Docklands, it's St Kilda by 40 points. Lauren Borden and Joel Peterson calling the footy. Kez Peterson and Brent Harvey, your experts. Which way are you looking at the end of this match? Are you going York Park, Tasmania, or looking to the Gabba?
I think the better match, just given the weather conditions, will be down in Tasmania. So that's, I think, where I'll be keeping my eyes. But if I can do a split screen situation when I get home, I will.
What about you, Bruno?
Well, I think match of the round is the Hawks and Giants this week. I'm just a little disappointed that they're both on exactly the same time. Even if they start an hour apart or a half hour apart, you get that. You can switch and you can, at quarter time, you're still watching a game. But when I switch over at quarter time, Kez, it's quarter time in a bloody other game.
I hear you.
It annoys me.
I think we're all agreed on that one. But I guess that's the way it goes. When it was rescheduled, there's not much you can do. What about in this match? So Richmond, they conceded 6-1 in that third term, 40 points down. What do they do in this last quarter just to pull it back a little bit in their advantage and maybe win a quarter for the game?
Well, I think they know they're not going to win the game from here. So it's just the output that they get from their leaders. Kez touched on it, and I thought it was the perfect call. You need your leaders to stand up. That's Taranto, that's Hopper, that's Nankervis, the guys in the middle. Throw it around a little bit. Good to see Lawler in the middle of in the centre bounce at the start of the last quarter.
Kilda ahead by 40 points as the umpire restarts play in the middle, and it is Lawler that gets a hand pass across to Dow. Hand pass to Hopper, and he flicks it backwards towards Short, nearly run down the tackle by Higgins. Gets the kick away to centre half forward, and Bauer's able to move it on towards McIntosh, kicks towards the goals and slots it through. 25 seconds into the fourth term, Camden McIntosh and his headband have put through the goal, and that means Richmond have scored the first goal of the first, second, and now the fourth term. Good start for the Tigers. That lead now of St Kilda's back to 34 points. 40 seconds now gone in this opening term.
It's a great start from Richmond, Loz. You mentioned out of the middle of the ground, but Richmond will be really clear. Their coaching staff would have made it really clear to the players what success looks like for them in the fourth term, and it's very hard for us sitting up here on the outside looking in to know what that is, and Boom was right. It won't be the scoreboard. I mean, it might be in terms of outscoring them in the last term, but it's not going to be the win-loss column. It's going to be contested possessions, or it's going to be how many goals can we limit St Kilda to, or something along those lines. But that's a great start, and again, it's their leaders that got around in the middle of the ground.
And the finish was never in doubt from Camden McIntosh. That one will be on the screens at the Camden McIntosh Kicking College on Monday, so I look forward to that one, students. Out of the middle, Windhager for the Saints, finds Marshall, and the dash of Garcia, who strides to the 50, unloads a bomb of his own and tugs it away to the right-hand side. Minor score from the lefty. 35 points is the Saints' margin.
What Richmond don't want is for this to go out to 10 goals. If they rock up after a decent first half, only being 8 points down, as we've mentioned. If this is a 10-goal game, it's not what it should be. So they'll be looking just to win the quarter and have little wins along the way.
Well, Short's kick will be a turnover here. Oh, it will be a mark to Smith. He juggled that against Hill. It might have been a free kick in the end for a Hill hold.
It was a free kick, but the umpire standing 4 metres away didn't pay it. It had to be another umpire from a different view, which is really strange.
And it's Smith whose kick goes out long to a pat, and the mark will be taken by Nankervis. Holding on to it at right half back. He's only forced to retreat and go backwards towards Miller, who flicks it across to Blight, and they'll switch it back to the dock side of Dockland Stadium, then he'll chip it across to Broad.
It's not great ball movement from Richmond because they've gone from one side of the ground in pocket to the other and they've achieved nothing. If you're going to switch, you've got to go quickly and use the open side of the ground. So they've gone again to switch here. Hopefully they can find some space.
Right, so they switch it back across to Miller, and this time he just puts the kick right in front of him. And the mark's taken by Traynor. Trainor's holding on to it, the youngster. He's really got no idea what he wants to do with it until McIntosh goes on a lead and marks at centre half back.
Kez, just on your point, and you're exactly right, but it's not the guys with the ball, it's the guys off the ball. Every single team want to widen the ground and stretch the ground, make it really big when you've got the football. And a couple of the Richmond forwards and wingers just didn't stretch the ground. It just made everything so congested for the Tigers.
The chip to Paddy Dow, who chucks it on his boot. It's a spiralling ball to a pack, comes to ground. It opens up now with Webster, who grabs it. Might have been pushed in the back. Umpire says play on, and Garcia's now got it for the Saints. They're doing the opposite of Richmond and moving the ball quickly. Hand pass to Wilson. Kick inside 50, inside into the pocket. And Blight just swipes across from stage left and intercepts for the Tigers.
Blight comes back to Smith. Sub for Richmond on for Harry Armstrong in that third term. Pokes it over the top for McIntosh, who hit the target twice in a row, make it 3. Got it to Hopper. Seem like beach balls at the moment, Camden McIntosh. Hopper on the diagonal to Short. Back into the corridor for Richmond. Short flares it out wide. That is from the Camden McIntosh school. It's an absolute dead pigeon.
You don't see that very often by Jaden Short, do you? He's an exceptional kick.
Kicked it off his back foot. And it
50 here too.
Wobbled its way to Burns. Flosstone's given away to 50. Burns waltzes inside the arc and drops it off to Hall, who's 45 metres out directly in front. That's gone all kinds of wrong for the Tigers.
Well, it has, because I just weren't prepared to push back. So the 50, giving that away is not great.
And Hall off to Wanganeen Miller.
He thought about it.
Yep, the umpire's decided that pedantry is the better part of excitement and wants to make Hall come back behind his mark.
Yeah, they just didn't work hard enough defensively, Richmond. When the 50 metres was given away, you have to head down and bust your backside to get backwards to help out, and they just didn't, and St Kilda just took advantage.
Hall off the long run here, gone back to almost the centre circles. He'll kick from just outside the 50, lays into it and laces it. Max Hall's got a couple, and he's endearing himself to Saints fans. And St Kilda's lead continues to grow, back out to 41 points. 13-12-90 to 7-7-49. That's 7 goals to 1 this side of half-time. 7 goals to 2, I should say, this side of half-time for the Saints, and they are putting a big gap in this game.
They're going to kick another 100 points, the Saints. I'm just looking what they scored last week. 98, just too shy of 100, and the week before 72, where they got blown out the water by Adelaide.
But only 5 times last year they scored 100 or more.
Yeah, so they're going to kick 100 tonight, no doubt, and too shy last week. It's 2 pretty good weeks from the Saints, because you don't often see that from a Ross Lyon team, do you? They're very defensive, and they only need to kick 10 goals to win.
Trying to add some of that attacking flair this season. It's right from the middle. It comes from Garcia. Hand pass to Travalia. Hand passes it back to Garcia. Kick goes to Marshall, standing all alone, and he can mark. Hand pass across to Wanganeen Miller. He just dabs the kick inside 50. It's not a very good looking one again. It's easily mopped up by Smith. He fumbles it as he tries to get it across to Lawler. Then Wanganeen Miller goes to try and clean up his mess, and they all tangle with the footy and will have a ball up about 30 metres out from St Kilda's goal. So it was all a little bit messy, but it has resulted in a stoppage inside forward 50 for St Kilda. It was the Coventry into the ground. Jones tried to gather it cleanly. He couldn't. McRae takes it. Hand pass to Wanganeen Miller. Fends off his opponent. and then goes after him as well. Gets it away finally across to Toby Travaglio. Darts the kick inside 50, and Jones takes the chest mark. Quick to react and pulls in the mark.
Kez, I'll speak on the forwards part and you can speak on the defensive part, because that ball was not meant to go to Jones. There is no better feeling in football when you haven't worked very hard and it comes off the side of the boot and hits you right on the chest and you're having a shot from 35 out. I can only imagine what it feels like from a defender when it wasn't meant to go to your man.
So in the end, it is Zach Jones, though, who ends up with the hands on the footy and the set shot at goal. He kicks this one. It starts off left and it'll just make the distance, but through for a minor score. 42 points now. St Kilda's lead has extended out to 7 minutes played in this fourth term. Saturday Arvo footy on ABC Sport.
You mentioned 100 points for St Kilda. They probably could have had that at three-quarter time or beforehand. Been quite wasteful in front of goal.
Long kick up the middle from Broad. Bites an aggressive one off, and Flostone comes in to take a really good mark. Rising over the top of Wilkie. Just behind halfway, plays on. Kicks to a 1-on-2 in the end. Oh, but kick to Lynch. And he can make any contest work. 55 from home. Drops it inside the 50. Looking for Nankervis. Bashed away by Jones. Spilled away to Green in the pocket. His tumbling kick toward goal is rushed through by Hasty. And only a minor score results. Margin back to 41. 8 gone in the final quarter.
Big Jack Sinclair will take the kick in for the Saints. Top disposal getter on the ground with 31 touches so far in the match. Just chips it out wide to Darcy Wilson. It's the future of this Saints side, and Wilson will just go back to Sinclair. And now it's the Saints' turn to chip it around their defensive unit. He'll kick it forward towards McRae. Flares it out wide towards Wilkie. So a lot of the Saints defenders getting a touch here. As Wilkie puts the kick right down the wing, and Kamenides there, having worked his way up the ground, and takes a strong mark for St Kilda. Got a 41-point lead, having defeated Geelong by 7 points on this venue last week after a little drop-off in that last quarter. Doesn't seem to be the case so far, as the kick goes down to Owens, who's close to the boundary, off hands and over the boundary line for a throw-in. Broad looking perhaps a little bit sore there, but he'll soldier on. So umpire getting ready to throw the ball in between wing and half forward for the Saints attacking goal. Under the roof at Docklands. Nankervis tries to rip it out of the ruck, can't take it. He gets it back, it ricochets back to him. Hand pass to Ross, hand pass to Dow. Long kick right down the wing. Goes to a pack. Lynch can't get hands to it, but Sinclair's there again. Takes it, and again he combines with Wilson by hands. Hand pass back to Brad Hill, who puts the afterburners on, runs straight through the centre circles of Docklands and puts it on his boot. He's kicking towards the Owens direction, 2 hands to it. Owens can't take the mark. Play on, says the umpire. Keeler has a go. Higgins weaves his way through traffic, and Higgins goes. Jack Higgins, the little master on the ground, with his 3rd goal of the afternoon. And that puts the Saints ahead by 47 points. 14-13, 97. Very close to that 100 mark. Richmond 7-8, 50. It's 10 minutes played in this final term, and Saints with a hefty 47-point lead.
Boomer, you're far more rehearsed and qualified to speak on this than what I am, but his forward craft, Jack Higgins, is exceptional. As that high ball was coming in, he knows as soon as that high ball is coming in that he's not going to be involved in the aerial contest, and he just shifts his body in a way that's able to evade his direct opponent and get to the drop of the ball, and his finishing quality at the moment is exceptional. He makes defenders very, very nervous. They're worried more about him than what they are the ball, and he's just able to create space around him, and the finish on his left was very, very good.
You're spot on, Kez. He kicked 4 last week, so he's got 7 in 2 weeks now. We're still 10 minutes of football to go.
He's got 3 against his old mob for the first time as well. Saints get the clearance. Sharman belted it down to Wood. Wood tumbles it toward full forward. Miller's there, picked off by Keeler. Whips it around the body and puts it through. Isaac Keeler joins the party and raises the bat for the Saints. 103 St Kilda to Richmond 50. They have got the ton, the Saints, having done it just 5 times all of last season. At their best, they look a team that can certainly run the scoreboard up. Only 11 minutes gone in this last term on ABC Sport. Kez Peterson and Boomer Harvey, your experts.
Kez, this is what I was worried about. Just this happening, getting a big blowout and being a 10-goal margin. That's 28 scoring shots now to to 15. It keeps going at this rate. It will be a lot more than 10 goals, unfortunately, for the Tigers. You look back, St Kilda leading by 12 points at quarter time, 8 points at half time. A big third quarter where they kicked 6 goals to 1, but now it's 3 on the board to 1 already in this quarter.
Lost by 72 points as well, the Tigers. Last week, as Richmond again goes inside 50, long kick 30 metres out from goals. It bounces back towards Taranto. Hand pass across to Trezise, hand pass to Broad, and Richmond will exit defence here via Brown, who takes a bounce and nearly gets the kick away. He doesn't. He's caught by Collard, who's done some great stuff today. They might not rack up the disposals, but Collard with the tackle. 7 disposals, which is as much as he got in his opening 3 games of his career. He's got in 1 game today. A goal as well, and that tackle kicks off to Wanganeen. Miller puts the kick inside 50. It was towards Marshall, who fell over in the end and slipped, and Broad now will clear the kick out. He curved the ball in, and it just went right into the palms of Hasty of the Saints, who can take the footy and kick it out to Webster.
Hasty does go to Webster. Webster goes long inside 50. Sharman with the rise, can't mark. Jones the front of the pack, got the handball away, got it to Wilson, off a couple of steps, another for the Saints. And the Saints fans in the stands are thinking that this second half has been divine. Out by 59 now St Kilda. 16-13, 109. Play 7-8-50. 13 gone. Final quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, he deserved that finish. He's had a pretty good day, Wilson, running out on the wing. I think he's up to 16 touches and 5 score involvement. So not a huge day disposal-wise, but he certainly has worked hard. But yeah, Boomer, it's starting to look very, very grim for Richmond. And that's the challenge of a young squad is, well, the inexperienced squad. They're not necessarily any younger than St Kilda, but when you have, repeated defeats of heavy, heavy margins, it's really challenging to keep the morale and the vibe around the club during the week really high, which is why you go looking for small wins, but at the moment they're not winning much across the ground.
Keeler and Blight in the ruck for their respective sides. Pushed down, Taranto tried to grab it. Ross Cann for the Tigers. He hand passes it in the path of Hopper. Steadies himself, picks it up, taken in a tackle by Windhager, who wraps him up. Free kick going the way of Windhager, and they've got some intent in this last quarter, the Saints. Despite the fact that they are leading by a big margin, 59 points, they're still putting plenty of pressure on the Tigers. The kick is flared out towards Wilson. Most recent goal kick up, City side wing. And he just puts it out wide up towards Ryan Burns, who'll mark now a couple of kicks from home for the Sainers. And Burns will just go backwards and chip it across to Wilson.
So the second-year man, back to Webster. And where that last score came, Webster inside the 50, an absolute bullet to Wood, who comes racing up, was dealt with after by McIntosh, won't get the 50. But Mason Wood can sink his slipper into this one from right at the top of the arc.
The problem is you can't kick goals if the ball doesn't go inside 50. In the third quarter, they had 7 inside 50s. Richmond have had 2 for this quarter. It's just, you're not giving your forwards Vlosson's a great player, but he's not going to get the footy if the ball doesn't go in there. It's just as simple as that.
Mason Wood's got 2 on the evening already. This for 11 second-half goals for the Saints. They are piling it on. 17-13, 115 to Richmond, 7-8-50. 3 for Mason Wood. Halfway gone in this final term. All Australians are our experts, Boomer Harvey and Kez Peterson.
Kez, 4 goals in the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's real fill your boots territory
it's
down for St Kilda, isn't it? And look, they deserve it. They've played really well. Richmond, unfortunately, at the moment, the last 6 minutes are just starting to roll over. And it's not because St Kilda's playing blistering football out of the middle. I mean, we've seen typically a very good ball user in Wanganeen Miller just have some really lazy kicks inside forward 50 that haven't hit targets, but St Kilda's been good enough to be able to really capitalise on those inside 50s, and Richmond haven't been good enough to turn the ball over.
And the Saints go again from the middle here. The umpire will recall the bounce. We'll have another one.
It's the challenge here for the leaders of Richmond. What are they going to do? How are they going to stand up and help their young troops through the end of the game?
Healer rises high in the ruck, gets a tap out just past Jones, and Blight will go back to pick it up for the Tigers. Hand passes it to Dow, who dabs a kick inside 50 for the Tigers, goes over the head of Lawler. And Hasty can stop and pick it up for the Saints, but it'll be a free kick going the way of the number 1 draft pick and Sam Lawler. Or potentially a push in the back.
Yeah, I think it was in the marking contest. There wasn't probably much in it, but it's a tough kick. I'm not quite sure what the leg on the young fella is, but he's going to have to kick it from about 49 from the right-hand side of the ground. Tough kick.
So Lawler will spin the footy in his hands. Just try and get a late one for the Tigers. Spins it around. It'll be 45 metres out, so we'll have to give it a fair good whack at the footy. That's what he does, and it looks straight, but it's just off to the right-hand side. And a minor score for Sam Layla. 64 points the margin. 17 minutes played, final term on ABC Sport.
Back into play by Sinclair. He's up to 35 disposals, so career best of 38. He's closing in on that. Ball off hands and out of play. It'll be tossed back in.
41,000 in the house, Lois. Not a bad effort from the crowds here.
Well, speaking to a few people coming in, 35,000, and we all said, I don't know about that, but 41. Very close to last night's, which was about 43.
Oh, if you're a St Kilda supporter, why wouldn't you be here? Their team is up and about. They're playing well.
I've always supported Maddie's match well, these two clubs. Also, tossed back in. Marshall had a play at it. Down to Jones. Shovels it along the boundary line, Marshall, to Wilson. He got his kick away as he was thrown around in the tackle. Jones came over the top of his opponent in Hopper. It'll be a free kick to the Tigers, just in front of halfway, outer side of the ground. Tigers trail by 64 points, 18-minute mark at the last. And they'll have an opportunity here. Deep entry. Flostone got rid of his man and did it illegally. Caminiti had front spot and threw the arms back to make sure the umpire saw it. Chips it across the defensive 50 to Wanganeen Miller. It comes up to Sinclair for disposal. Number 36 here is Jack.
Jack Sinclair with a good-looking kick across to Max Hall, who marks right in front of the boundary and just slides it across the boundary line towards Higgins, who had his arm held a little by Smith, who got away with it. Plenty of territory gained there for the Saints, and a all-in will come 60 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Towards the Coventry end of Dockland Stadium. Of course, the signs no longer exist anymore, but that is the right-hand side of Dockland Stadium. And it will be Marshall and Nankervis back in their respective positions in the ruck. Nankervis can just hand pass it quickly to Taranto. Hand pass across to Steely Green, who wanted to get the hand pass across back from Hopper. He does. It all gets mangled in the middle of the ground. Then Taranto has a go at it. Bounces down. Green's trying to do some of the tackling. Hill emerges with the footy for St Kilda. Flicks off a hand pass across to Wanganeen Miller, using his pace to dart back. Hand passes it across to Travalia. Puts the kick inside 50 for St Kilda. It'll be a free kick here for Higgins. No, it won't. It'll be Smith at the back, who he's paid the mark, outworking Higgins from the footy. And it'll be Smith with a long peering kick down the wing to Bauer.
Many players that can take a hanger in defence. Smith's kick turned over though. Wanganeen Miller has had a stack of it here in this last term. Got it to Marshall, offloads to Hill. Hill cuts it back inboard. A really intelligent kick for Collard. Hill was running toward the boundary line in the right forward pocket. He whipped it across his body like a cross in a game of soccer. And Lance Collard hitting up out of the goal square, mark 30 out.
Geez, that's a challenging kick. There's all of his body weight and momentum is going in one direction, and he's got the skill to pull it back across his body. Well played.
Collard with 1 goal, 1 on the evening. Struts into this and misses it away to the right. 65-point lead for the Saints is restored at 116 to 51. 20 and a half gone in the final term.
31 scoring shots. 17-14, 116.
Should have been a lot more, really, when you think about it.
Tom Brown moves the footy out towards Luke Traynor, and he's just urging his teammates to come ahead of him. He doesn't know where to go next. So his best option is to go long down the ring. It was Tom Lynch and Anthony Caminiti in a one-on-one, got punched down, and Windhager won the footy. Hand pass across to McRae, who hand passes it to Sinclair, back to McRae. He just chips the kick slightly across to Marshall. 15-metre kick paid. Hand pass to Burns, who's got Hasty running alongside him. Can hand pass it to Hasty, who has plenty of legs on him. Puts it inside the forward pocket, looking for Owens. Sharman, hand pass to Higgins. He'll hand pass back to Hill, who'll have a snap at goals. And Hill missed to the left-hand side. Worth a shot from Hill, but just a minor score. It means it's 6 points the advantage of St Kilda. 21 minutes gone in the final term.
Well, that's 32 to 16 scoring shots. They're double their scoring shots now. It's a big day for the Saints. They don't normally kick huge scores, and I'm glad in the last couple of weeks I've been here to see them, because they actually look like a team that can move the football and score heavily.
Round 2023, they kicked 122 against the Hawks. That's their biggest score since Ross Lyon came back. So Ross in his third season back at the Saints now. So they are closing in on that at a rapid rate of knots here, St Kilda. Having kicked 11 goals in the second half to 2. Sonsi off half-back for Richmond. Ross stands tall in the contest. Had Sinclair closing fast and marks on the AFL logo.
Have a look at this. He can't move, and he's 5 metres to the side of him. It's a silly rule to stand.
So Ross drives it to the edge of the 50. Rising high was Bauer. Lynch came over the top as well. Windhager might have been legged. No free for it. Trevallia's handball to Caminiti. To Wilkie. Underground hand pass clever to McRae. Got it back to Wilkie. Back to Trevallia. Handball over the top as the Saints loop it off half-back. Now to Hall. Hall drives it inside the 50. Bounces off the hand of Brown, off the face of Higgins. Away to Hugo Garcia on the edge of the arc for St Kilda. Got the handball away to Sharman. He goes for the hand fake as well. Pops it inside the arc by foot and finds Hill, who had the shot a couple of moments ago, couldn't make good of it. Called to play on, goes to the pocket. Owens is there. Owens is called to play on. He goes around the body, no problem.
I don't think he was called to play on. He played on. That was unbelievable. I'm not sure what he was doing there.
He called his own play on.
He
did Mitch Owens. He's got 3 on the afternoon. It's been a really nice second half for the young Saints spearhead, and they do get that high score under Ross Lyon since his return to the club. 18-15, 123 St Kilda. Richmond 7-9-51. The margin is 72 points at the 23-minute mark of the last.
He was lucky he kicked it too, because he burned a couple of teammates in the middle of the ground that probably Jack Higgins was on his own, and if you were going to play on, you might want to use him. But anyway, it was a good finish, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately for Richmond, it really doesn't get any easier for them for the next month either. They've got Brisbane at the MCG, Freo over at the Barossa Oval in Gather Round, and back here to the Docklands to play the Gold Coast. So going to have to find something for the next month to keep the morale high.
Seen some glimpses today, the Tiger supporters. It's been a tough second half at the office, that's for sure. Lawless grabbed in the middle of the ground by Garcia. Yeah, Garcia's been really good. 23 disposals, a couple of behinds in the afternoon. Far and away his career high in terms of disposals. Played 5 of his 11 games as the sub before today, so getting the opportunity. Tigers with the clearance out of the middle. Taranto tumbles it inside the forward 50. Lynch is hearing the Bronx cheers. Kicks to the pocket. Bouncing ball in front of Campbell. Webster's right there with him. Got in his back. And it'll be a free kick to the young Tiger in the right forward pocket. Seth Campbell.
Tough day for Tom Lynch. He's only had 7 touches at 43%.
Just the 1 goal, Kez? Just the 1?
Yep, just the 1 goal, 1.
This man's had a really good time of it, has Campbell.
Hard to put that on Lynch, though, isn't it? We've mentioned a couple of times just the entries, or the lack of entries, and then, you know, when it has come in, it hasn't been particularly good ball for Richmond forwards today.
He's going to go to the check side from the pocket, 35 metres out. That is a remarkably good kick.
Finish.
Nonchalant from Seth Campbell. Did it as easy as you like. A couple of paces in from the boundary. Drops the checky in and slots it.
Is that 4?
4 goals for Seth Campbell. His career best prior to today was 2.
Good return.
It's a very good return in a lean afternoon from a scoring perspective. 8-9-57 Richmond, 18-15-123 the Saints, with 4.5 minutes left in the ball game.
I mean, this thing's gone out of the game, but that was a great finish, and you want to play the game out. I seen a rugby video a few years back, Kez, and they were talking about the Queensland team and what it means to be a Queenslander, and they talk about playing to the very last minute, and that minute will take you to the first minute of your next game. So it's super important to play out, especially for a young, inexperienced team, for Richmond, to play this out right to the last final siren. Oh, score review.
Score review. So out of the middle, it has been called a behind in the end.
Yeah, it's a good call, Boomer. And I think, if you ask most teams, you want to play every minute the same, whether it's the first minute of the game or the last minute, or whether you're up by 6 goals or 10 goals or down by 6 or 10. It doesn't really matter. You want to play the same way, but there's not many that would be able to honestly say that that's exactly what they do. But it's a lesson that the young team and St Kilda have been good at that today. They've played the whole game and they're still continuing to press here in the last term.
So must have hit the post from Campbell. The margin is 71. The Tigers force the turnover as the Saints exit the defensive 50. Traynor put his head down in the tackle inside the centre square. Umpire blindsided. It's been paid as a free kick against Jack McRae.
Windhager is tagging Taranto, still now being up by, 71 points, like he did in the first 2 minutes of the game. That's what you're talking about, Kez, playing the game out. He's certainly done that.
Traynor kicks to the edge of the 50. Jones takes it off their hands for the Saints. Down the line, his handball goes looking for Collard. Got clipped by Miller there as the ball went out of play. Saints are not too happy about the treatment. Owens and Jones getting across to Ben Miller to make their displeasure clear.
Yeah, don't need to do anything silly here, though. You're happy to stand up your teammate, but given the situation of the game, you don't need to do anything silly.
Collard didn't seem all too phased by it. Ball tossed back in. Socket off the ground for the Saints. Reaches Higgins in the centre square. He hooks a high, towering footy inside forward 50. Sharman ran past it. Blight was there for the Tigers. Grabbed by Keeler. Picked up by Broad. Handball away to Short. Now to McIntosh inside the defensive 50. Who looks luminescent out there, Camden McIntosh, with the yellow headband, the bright orange boots, and that bright yellow of the predominant colour on the Richmond jumper this afternoon with the black sash. Whacks it outside the defensive 50. Reaching up to Mark was hasty. Dropped it at the last moment. They keep it alive here, St Kilda. Striding through his Burns. Kicks to the pocket looking for Owens. Miller beats him to it. Slaps it out of play. Left forward pocket. Deep forward for the Saints. Will have a ball in. Margin 71 the way of St Kilda. There's 2 big games coming your way later tonight. Hawthorn GWS for our West Australian Tasmanian audience on ABC Radio. Brisbane and Geelong for the rest of you. You can get both of them on ABC Listen app. Bring you some news on those games very shortly. Saints inside forward 50 here, forcing another stoppage. Collard kicks to full forward. Owens got rid of Miller on the goal line and whacks it through. Mitch Owens has 4 in the second half. And the Saints lead by 77. 19-15-129. Richmond 7-10-52. 29 minutes played. Final term on ABC Sport. Boomer Harvey and Kez Peterson.
Well, we talk about the 10-goal margin. It's just blown out to 12. And it's really disappointing for the Tigers the way they finished off. Fantastic work, St Kilda. Don't get me wrong, they played some amazing footy. And 19-15, 129. So, it's a big score.
Yeah, it is. I'll give Mitch Owens the benefit of the doubt there. I don't reckon he meant to mark that on the line. I think he was trying to shepherd it, and at the last minute he's stuck his mitts out because Collard probably deserved that goal. There's a nice hook on his right foot, but yeah, you're right, Brim. That's an impressive score for St Kilda.
Great afternoon for Mitch Owens. So just on that Brisbane-Geelong game, Darcy Fort has replaced Oscar McInerney in the selected side for Brisbane. And what a shock. Tom Stewart's not playing. He's replaced by Mark O'Connor. So
Geelong special.
Yep, Geelong with the devious late change, which is a Chris Scott special. And the secondary stoppage. Jones got the handball away for the Saints. Back in Tigers' hands. Nankervis, high kick around the body to full forward. Flostone still floating around up there. Taken off the pack by Bauer. Handball to Campbell. 40 metres out from the Richmond goal. Feeding it out wide is Ross to McIntosh. And now to Sonsi. Off a step. Check side. No. And no by a long way. Just snuck in for a minor score.
Sinclair watch. 38.
Equal career high for Jack Sinclair.
At 87% disposal efficiency. It's a good day out.
So Sonsi reduces that margin to 76.
We'll keep an eye on Sinclair. The ball's on the opposite side to where he is, so he won't be happy with that.
Kick in toward Jones for the Saints. He's belted away by Traynor over the line. He'll be thrown back in.
10 score involvements too for Sinclair. I don't know, he might be at the top of your list for your votes. Boomer, what do you reckon?
He'd be pretty high there, Kez.
Very fast handball.
It was a good handball, wasn't it?
Yep.
Running off half back.
To be fair, Boomer, you didn't mind a handball receive in your career.
Yes. I'll take another one today. I'll take one for the team.
Marshall on hands and knees at the ruck contest. Ends up with the opposition ruckman in Nankervis for the Tigers. To Taranto, to Ross in the left forward pocket, 40 from home. Diving across the kick was Sinclair, not giving up even though the Saints are well and truly in the box seat. Wilson smashes it outside the defensive 50 for St Kilda. All Tigers there, 3-on-2. Traynor blasts it back inside the arc. Lawler rises, can't mark. Coming away with it is Hall. He dabs the kick wide for Sharman, who found himself in plenty of space and rips a kick up the middle to Marshall, 70 from home. Overlap run everywhere. Marshall kicks an absolute wobbler to fall forward, bounces over the head of Short, got to Higgins, on now to Collard, who got it from Owens, and it might have been payback for the last one. Mitch stole one from Lance and now returns the favour. Collard smashes it through on the line. And the Saints are out by 78. 20 goals 15, 135 to 7-11, 53 with a minute remaining in this one.
Collard, how many has he got now? That's just his second, isn't it? Yes, Collard's got 2. Yeah, Mitch Owens. Gee, it's a tough call because Mitch Owens was literally running into open goal at the top of the goal square with a handball receive and, yeah, going for your 6th goal, Kez.
Look, you like to see it.
5? What's he kick? 5?
Yeah, he's kicked
4.
five.
Kick 4. That would have been his 5th.
You like to see it because it.
You do, absolutely.
Yeah, you want to see the team sharing the everyone gets a lick of the ice cream. It's great work.
Especially to a young fella too.
Absolutely.
Making his way in the game.
Who's had a good day as well.
So is there another late goal here? Saints have got 14 in this second half. They're surging for another. Sinclair's up to a career best 39 on the afternoon. Kick inside the forward 50 looking for Higgins. He's dragged in by Broad in defence. Sinclair's actually got 40 now. McRae 31 for the Saints. Wangadeen Miller at 29. Jaden Short has had it 26 times for the Tigers.
Is that a career best for Sinclair?
It is. Previous was 38. Tresize drags it in front of the interchange and then had to step his way through the TV microphone cable that's bundled up on the AstroTurf out there.
Gee, that's, I'd say, a bit dangerous where that cording is wrapped up, Boomer.
Did well not to trip himself up. Kick down the line. Caminiti crashed the pack. Closing stages of this one.
Bit of OH&S. Yes.
Well, as a physio, Boomer, I sit here and say no. I don't like that, but anyway.
So they both had a big loss and a narrow win in their first 2 games, these 2 teams. And Saturday night has been saintly for St Kilda. A thumping second half from the Saints. And they walk all over Richmond to march in by 78 points. Big days all round. Jack Sinclair had 40 disposals. Mitch Owens kicked 4 goals. They shared it around plenty of the Saints, and a game that was tight in the first half really blew open in the second. St Kilda with 14 second half goals. Richmond could only manage 2, and that was the tale of the tape. Goals 15, 135 to 7-11, 53 the final score. So as we said in that last quarter, the highest score for the Saints under Ross Lyon in his second era at the club. Their 4th straight win over Richmond. Their 6th in the last 7 games between these 2 teams. And Richmond's winless streak at Docklands continues on to an 11th game. They have not won here since round 9, 2021. So it is far from a happy hunting ground for Tigers supporters, that is for sure. Goal kickers for the Saints. Mitch Owens kicked 4. Mason Wood kicked 3. So too Jack Higgins. 2 to each of Collard, Sharman and Hall. Singles to Hill, to Keeler, to Wilson and to Marshall. For the Tigers, a career best 3 for Seth Campbell. Tom Lynch kicked 1 on return and missed a couple of others. Jacob Bauer kicked a goal. Camden McIntosh kicked 1. And Tom Brown kicked a long-range effort in that third term. A game that was 12 points at quarter time, was 8 points at half time, was 40 points at three-quarter time, and ends in a thoroughly decisive 78-point win to St Kilda, 2015, 135 to 7-11-53. We'll get the thoughts of Kez and Boomer very shortly. Massive night of football ahead on the ABC Sport airwaves. Hawthorn and GWS, no late changes there. There is a late change for Brisbane. Darcy Fort replaces Oscar McInerney. And for Geelong, Mark O'Connor replaces Tom Stewart. So those two games still to come in just under half an hour from now. You can get both of them on the ABC Listen app no matter where you are this evening. Our All-Australian experts, Boomer Harvey and Kez Peterson, pretty comprehensive in the second half from the Saints. Kez, it was pretty powerful stuff in the end.
Yeah, it was. A 14-2 goal second half sort of says it all. There's not too many games, Boomer, I don't know about you, where I've come either to work or to watch the game and it's been an 82-point margin, but I've been thoroughly entertained by what I've seen. And part of that, you got to give Richmond some credit for the way that they showed up in the first half. The first quarter wasn't particularly good viewing from either team, but in the second quarter in particular, Richmond were the ones who were the aggressors and really turned up the heat, particularly around the middle of the ground, and were able to kick some consecutive goals to really take the fight to St Kilda. And to St Kilda's credit, they were able to match that, go into half-time 8 points up and then really stick the boot in for the second half. And for the St Kilda supporters and those that have high aspirations for this team with the way that Ross Lyon's coaching them, and he mentioned his coaching last week, which I'm sure you'll touch on again, but they just seemed like a really well-drilled, really balanced team. And when you've got the likes of Rowan Marshall through the middle of the ground doing what he does, he had a pretty good day. Rowan Marshall, if I can find his stats in front of me, 23 touches, 78% disposal efficiency, 12 marks, so he's working around the ground as well, not just in the clearance sort of aspect of the game. And I'm sure we'll sing the praises of Jack Sinclair's game, 40 touches at 85% disposal efficiency, 15 handball receives, nearly 700 metres gain, and 10 score involvements. That's a mighty effort for a half-back, and it was equally aided by Jack McRae, the way that he played today, 31 touches. He's got off to a great start in his St Kilda career thus far. Wanganeen Miller, he was outstanding as well. He had 29 touches, a few lazy inside 50 entries that I'm sure he would like to tidy up, but it was a complete demolition by St Kilda in that second half. And for Richmond, they've exited stage left very quickly. As you imagine, consecutive losses. I'm not sure what the margin was last week, but it was a pretty ordinary
72
there you
week.
go, 72. So 72 and 78
points in 2 weeks.
It doesn't look good, does it? And they'll have to find some wins to be able to keep the confidence of their young troops up, but it doesn't get any easier for them. They've got Brisbane next week, then Freo, then Gold Coast, so tough run ahead.
It certainly is. And I'll probably need to sing the praises of St Kilda as well, because the second half in particular, they ended up with 35 scoring shots for the day, but their ball movement in the second half, they kicked 14 goals. Now, when you say players Hill, Wanganeen Miller, Sinclair, Burns, Higgins, Wilson, Zach Jones, add in Young, Hall and Collard with leg speed, why wouldn't you be playing a brand of football where you can break lines, give the football to those line breakers, bounce the ball, get the ball inside 50 where it's a 1v1 and the defenders are scrapping? That's what they did to Geelong last week. In the first half, they got the ball in there. Geelong defenders were running back towards goal. I thought they were fantastic again tonight, and I haven't seen St Kilda, I'm not sure what that stat was, Joel, I can't remember now, but since Ross Lyon, 135 points. That's a big score.
Yep, so highest score in the second coming of Ross Lyon at St Kilda. Their highest score since round 4 2022, and Mitch in the studio tells us it's their biggest win over Richmond since 2006 and their fourth biggest win over Richmond in history. And these two teams, they've been going at it a while.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant statistically for the Saints. They win by 78 points. It'll be a very happy St Kilda rooms. That's where we find Lauren Borden. Loz.
It is. Brad Hill blowing kisses to his family standing around here. Carl Wilkie also led them in as he stood in as captain after Jack Steele was laid out as well. And Toby Travalia from the Sandhurst Dragons. He's right in the middle, absolutely getting soaked in the water that they've got before he joins the circle. So Carl Wilkie there leading the song as well. A bit of a different rooms to last week when they just hung on against Geelong, but absolutely thrashing with an 82-point win in the end. So an absolute thrashing of Richmond here. But they are still pretty happy and pretty rapt. We'll hopefully chat to Mitch Owens, who had a great second half, in just a moment.
Thanks, Loz. There's some boos around the stadium here because the two little kids have just broken out on the ground who I don't reckon would be older than maybe 10, Boomer.
Take him on.
One of them's been tackled by a security guard and the other one's just been caught by the arm. So one in St Kilda gear, one in Richmond gear. They were looking like they were having a race across the ground. So that's the boos from the supporters who remain here with us after St Kilda's 78-point win. I don't think the fans were too happy with the first security guard's treatment of that bloke on the outer side.
Can you fine 10-year-olds $5,000 or whatever the fine is?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know.
That's a great call. How are they going to pay it?
It's a lot of pocket money.
I'll give me your lunch money for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's
$2.50 a week.
A couple of lollipops.
A lot of pocket money, that is, for those young boys. So they're obviously pretty happy with one of them's pretty happy with their team's work, and one might have been trying to run away from it all, potentially. St Kilda 2015-135, Richmond 7-11-53. Earlier today, Gold Coast over Melbourne by 58 points. Later tonight, big night of footy as well. So if you're in WA and Tasmania listening to us on ABC Radio, you're off to the Hawks and GWS at Lonnie. There are no late changes there. For everyone in Victoria, South Australia and the Northern Territory, you are off to Brisbane and Geelong a little bit later on this evening. We are off in the meantime back into the St Kilda rooms. Lauren Borden.
Thanks, Joel. I've got Mitch Owens standing alongside me for second half goals. An amazing effort from you as well. But to push out that margin to 82 points in the end, that must be a pretty satisfying feeling when you come into the rooms now.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great feeling. Like you said, 80-point lead. At half-time, we probably weren't going forward enough, taking the 1v1s of the contest. So once we started doing that, we started getting a bit of reward. So it's good to see.
And can you talk to me a little bit about that forward line? So we know Max King's out, but you're down there. You've got Jack Higgins, Isaac Keeler as well, who's in there as a tool. Just talk to me about how it's all functioning.
No, it's been great. Obviously, we're pretty young down there. But yeah, we're just trying to stay as connected as possible. It can be pretty easy for younger players to go into their shell, but making sure we're all connected, playing our roles. And yeah, I think all the forward line really played their role today, so it was great to see.
And 4 goals and 1 included a bow. Can you just talk me through that celebration?
Yeah, it's been 2 years in waiting for that. There's been a few times I was about to bring it out and I was too scared. So, finally brought it out. I was glad. I was a bit annoyed Charlie Cameron using the grand final last year. I was watching on TV. I'm like, should have done it last year, but I thought I'd bring it out today.
What spurred you on today? What was the reason today? Was it the big lead that you thought, I'm okay here? You felt comfortable?
I just kept sticking to my role. The ball was coming down a lot more. We had a lot more entries in the second half, so that definitely helped.
And do you like Adelaide? You've got a couple of matches coming up now, one in gather round, of course, across the next 2 weeks. You've already played there. You spent a lot of time in Adelaide so far to start this season.
Yeah, we sure have. I don't know. It'll be a challenge for us playing in Adelaide, obviously away, but we're up for the challenge and hopefully can keep bringing 100% effort and keep bringing that. And I'm sure, put a good fight next 2 weeks.
Mitch, I'll send you upstairs to the ABC commentary box. Brent Harvey, Karen Peterson and Joel Peterson.
Mitch, Boomer Harvey up here, mate. Congratulations personally and also collectively. Fantastic win, mate. 135 points. Have you played in a game under Ross Lyon where you've kicked that bigger score?
Not that I can remember. Ross is pretty defensive, so we usually don't get that high of a score, but it's good to see we score a fair bit today.
Now tell me, as a forward, now you've kicked 4 goals today and you've had 10 different goal scorers. You look like you've got 2 sort of passages of play. One last week where it started. I know you didn't play last week, but you were trying to go around Geelong. In the first half, it looked a little bit more methodical today versus in the second half. You got the ball on the run a little bit more, and you got Brad Hill and Zaya Wangley Miller running through the middle. Which one do you prefer?
Definitely when the ball's flowing, going live. But yeah, like you said, we're trying to go around. We saw Geelong got a lot of intercept markers, same with Richmond. So our game plan was to go around, and first half probably wasn't working as we thought, so we started going to the contest and started taking the ball forward, and started to see a few results there.
And one more from me, just around Jack Macrae. Again, he's had the ball on the string today. He's ended up with another 31 touches. It just feels like he's slotted in and fitted in absolutely unbelievable leadership. I'm sure he's brought a lot of that, but he just brings a lot of ball use, brings other players into the game through his hands. What's it like having him at the football club?
It's unbelievable. I love playing with him. Even during the week in training, he's been helping the younger boys so much, and he's a great leader. And I love him having him in the midfield. Just kicks it down my throat, so it definitely helps.
Mitch, it's Karen Peterson upstairs. Congratulations on your performance and the teams today. I liked your comment before about Ross Lyon typically being a defensive coach, but we've seen such a change in St Kilda, not just today, but in the last couple of rounds as well. The ball movement, it's exciting, and Boomer's asked a question on that already. My question is that been a focus for you guys over the summer, and how much work have you put in? And we often see the evolution of teams go from being defensive and transitioning to offence. Is that what we're seeing at St Kilda at the moment?
100%. We got, obviously, Brendan Bolden came in. He's definitely drove that into the group, and we got such great assistant coaches. And I think that's definitely game plan play, a bit more exciting, go forward, and it's a lot of fun playing in a team that does that.
Probably helps when you've got a bloke called Sinclair coming off the back line, having 40 touches at, what did he go today, 85%. Can you just talk us through the impact that someone like that has on the team and what it means for you guys as forwards to be ahead of the ball for him? Yeah, he's so predictable. Sinks is just going to kick it into the space, and he never misses a kick, like you said. So it's absolutely love him kicking inside 50.
St Kilda Live Wire, Mitch Owens with us on ABC Sport after the Saints' 13-goal win over the Tigers. Mitch, where's your best position? You sort of started as a midfielder. You played, junior footy a little bit of everywhere. Where do you think your best position is? Do you like playing up front, or will we see you in the midfield in years to come?
Love playing forward today. Didn't mind it. But, hopefully in the future, probably mainly forward, and then hopefully can chip in the midfield and use my size in there. But I'm loving playing full-time forward at the moment, especially the way we're playing at the moment. But wherever Ross wants me, I'll happily play.
Yeah, some of the service is pretty nice. What are the indicators of the Saints' best footy? What are the things you look for? Because, last week, and we've seen it in spurts, and sometimes it's a half of really good footy in a game. You think back to Sydney last year, second half today, where it seems like a different St Kilda team is out there. What are the indicators that you're looking for as a group, and the things that you're trying to do and you're seeing when you're playing your best?
Probably just giving 100% effort for 4 quarters. It's obviously a hard thing to do, but when we bring that, we obviously see good results, and if we keep sticking to that, as you see, the scoreboard goes our way. Even when we play exciting footy, get the ball live, we're obviously a great running team, so it's playing to our advantage. It's definitely helping, and hopefully we can keep doing that.
And last one before we let you go, Mitch or Toe, what do you prefer?
Probably Mitch, because usually everyone gets it wrong, so Mitch probably helps everyone out as well.
How can we get it right? How do we say the extended version of the first name?
Well, in Japanese it's a bit more like Michito. A lot of people say Michito, so it's a big difference, so I'm happy with whatever.
Yep, as long as they're saying it and it involves kicking goals, I think you'll be going pretty well. Thanks for sharing some time with us, Mitch, and look forward to seeing you doing good things in weeks to come.
No worries, cheers.
Michito Owens joining us from the Saints rooms. He is, of course, through the Saints NGA with Japanese heritage. So that's how they were able to get access to him, and what a talent he's turning into, Boomer.
He looks good, doesn't he? Without Big King down there, he looks sort of like the man to go to. I just like their style of play. Why bomb the ball in if you haven't got a massive key forward and a strong key forward? You got Mason Wood, who marks the ball unbelievably with great speed in front of him. You got Mitch Owen, can do it on the ground, but can do it in the air, mainly on the lead as well. You got to play to your strengths. I think their ball movement in the second half, I've seen a shift in their ball movement, and I really liked it.
He's what do you think his best position is?
Oh, it's hard to argue with him playing forward at the moment. I mean, I think it all sort of wraps up into one. The ball movement's allowing so many of their forwards to get involved, and you mentioned, Boomer, that they've got 10 individual goal scorers, which is that's incredibly impressive, and it means that they're not relying on one score source. And Jack Higgins has been a big part of that in the first couple of weeks, and if you got him and the thought of Max King coming back into that team at some stage, the challenge will be when he does come back in is to not make him the focal point and have, for example, 50% of their inside 50s go in his direction. They want to continue to keep it balanced because it means that they're really unpredictable to the opposition. It means it's really challenging for them to scout them during the week if they're only going to, and we see teams in the competition at the moment really guilty of that, where they've got one key forward or two key forwards and that's all they go to, and it becomes really, really predictable, not just in themselves but to the opposition as well. So if St Kilda can find a method where they're not going to have 10 individual goal scorers every week, but if they can keep that between 6 and 10, plus adding King back in, that's formidable.
Well, they have 10 goal kickers. They had 6 that kicked 2 or more. Like it's a bloody good mix, isn't it? Without their main goal kicker in the team. And you lose Membry from last year as well.
Yep.
So the mix of it now, with a little bit of difference, I think they've got some speed up forward with Collard. With Collard adding tonight, Hall, he looks like a player, kicks the ball beautifully.
I think they had 7 goal kickers last week and only 1 kicked a single goal, which was Isaac Kilda. So they had a real spread last week. I need to apologise before we go further as well. I've been saying for the last 10, 15 minutes the margin was 78 points. It was actually 82. So I don't know how, if one of my primary school maths teachers is listening, I blame you. So
Close enough.
2015, 135 to 7-11, 53, which becomes abundantly clear when you read the full score out, but I hadn't cottoned onto that over the last 15 minutes.
I won't lie to you, Joel. I did double check it and I thought,
should have
said something.
Should have thrown your pen at me or clipped me.
You've done a good job today. I didn't want to bring you down.
That's quite okay. So 82 points, and apologies to the Saints supporters for shortchanging them a little bit. Text from Tim from Wodonga on 0437 774 774. Are Richmond this bad or Saints this good? How many times this season will Richmond make other teams look good? What are your thoughts there, Boomer?
Well, I won't lie to you. I thought round 1 was bizarre, coming against Carlton, who everybody would have in the top 8, maybe not now, but certainly before the season started, to potentially even being in the top 4 this year. So I thought it was bizarre, and they played out of their skin. They played a fantastic game, so I thought, this is going to be exciting. But just the last 2 weeks, they've come right back down. And I can't take nothing away from St Kilda. Richmond is super young, and their leaders didn't really stand up tonight. But I don't want to take nothing away from St Kilda because I just haven't. I'm not used to looking at the scores and seeing St Kilda kick 135 points. That's bizarre within itself. So I think they look fantastic. I think they look better in the second half when they took the game on more. And I mentioned those names. There's 8 there where they can run, carry, break lines. I don't know why they go and play slow, really methodical football when they've got those players. Play to your strength, and gee, it's a strength.
They've got a problem, haven't they, St Kilda, with who's not playing as well and how they fit back into this team. So the list is Max King, Dan Butler, Philippou, Paddy Dow. I mean, I struggle at the moment just to see how he fits into this team with the leg speed. That's not one of his strengths.
Well, there's 3 certainties that you've already named.
Hunter Clark, Liam Stocker, and Jack Steele. We forgot about the captain who's not even playing today. So
Liam Henry.
Yeah, sorry, Liam Henry as well.
He's a line breaker.
Dan
what they got
Butler
him for.
up front.
I mean, Cooper Sharman comes in today. I'd find it hard to leave him out of the team.
No, he doesn't go out of the team. No way.
Yeah, and I mean, Travaglia was on debut today. What did he have? 18 touches at 72%. 11 contested possessions, which is not bad for a young guy in his debut game playing on the outside in the wing.
Because this is where your strength comes from. This is what good teams have. They have problems, and you look at their reserves or the VFL, Development League, and you look at it and go, gee, how come he's not playing AFL football? It's because these young kids are taking their spot and they're pushing everyone down the pecking order, and that's what the good teams do.
Yep, agreed.
And these two teams, of course, played each other in the VFL today. Joel Garner kicked a late goal for the Tigers. They won it. They came back from, I think, 31 points down or something late in the third quarter to win 11-14-80 to 11-8-74. Josh Smiley did not play for Richmond today. Adam Uze said during the week that he is likely to play next week, probably at the VFL level, and then he'll get his chance to come up to the AFL level. So their second pick of the draft last year, Richmond, may not be too far away. Of course, they've got a couple of players out with longer-term injuries, the Tigers, but they had a really nice crop at the draft last year with the likes of Jasper Elgar. Jonty Falls got a lot of talent. Tommy Sims. They've got Kane McAuliffe, the South Australian, who it just racks them up in the VFL for fun. So there's a little bit of talent to come back into this Richmond team. But they're going to have, and I mean, you've seen it with North Melbourne, and Roos fans have seen it in the last few years, Boomer, that you have these periods where it's pretty tough going, and you graduate from being, okay, we're a team that can be competitive for a quarter to a team that can be competitive for a half, and then we go to 3 quarters, and then we're there for the full thing. And Richmond seem like they're somewhere about a quarter and a half at the moment.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. How long can you hold on for? I don't think. And I've got a lot of Richmond supporters who are mates of mine. And I said, you take 3 flags every day of the week and then finish on the bottom of the ladder for a couple of years. Yeah, that's what you play footy for, to win the flag. So they're all realists. They know where their list is at right now. But can you hold it? And they did it in the first half. They were 8 points down at half time. They were in the game. They come out. Yeah, and unfortunately for them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals to 1 in the third quarter. So can they hold on to 3-quarter time now? And then that just progresses to, rightio, we're in the games right at the very end. And that's what their challenge is. Their leaders to stand up, the young guys to bring the energy and get through a whole game.
This is the cycle that the AFL has tried to create, where teams experience success. They don't get access to the draft picks because of that success.
Yep.
They bottom out and then they get to build again. It's unusual, when you look at the likes of Geelong, who have been, in that sort of top 4 bracket for a long time. We all laughed. Yep, Sydney's the other one we laughed last week when it was John Longmire on one of the TV shows during the week, and we missed the finals for 1 year and we had to go back to the drawing board. It was, it was laughable given where your and my team, Boomer, has been for a little while. But this is the system working in Richmond, and I think you're right. I think the supporters have a clear understanding of the reality of where their team's at, and this is what we expected from them. We're going to see some good signs for patches of play, but I think the one out of the box is going to be the result in round 1, and that stunned everyone, not just yours truly, but that's going to be the system for them. And unfortunately, it is going to be a long year. So finding small snippets of success is going to be really, really crucial for them, because it's only getting harder from here for the young bodies. They'll get sore, they'll get tired, and these blowout results, I think, will become a bit of consistency for them.
I totally agree there, Kez. Just on Tom Sims. Distant relative of mine.
Really? There you go.
So he's about 6'5", I reckon. Yep. Every Harvey boy is short.
Yep.
Right? Hence, yep. Right? Very short. Tom, no idea, but he's dad's second cousin.
Yeah, okay. He plays junior footy at Montmorency.
Montmorency, yes, and the northern suburbs, and the Northern Knights, of course. So
did some really good things at Big Metro last year, so he looks alike.
But he got the height of the bloody bugger. He got the height.
I reckon you got the pace, Boomer, and you got 432 games in as well while you're at it. Earlier today, Gold Coast defeated Melbourne by 58 points at the MCG. Ben King kicking 4 for the Suns there. It was St Kilda by 82 points here at Docklands. Of course, a couple of big games for our audience a little bit later tonight as well. Hawthorn, GWS, Brisbane and Geelong. And I do want to spend a little bit of time with both of you talking about those before we go. So I'm going to go to you, Boomer, for the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. You've got plenty of time and there's plenty of good numbers for the Saints.
Oh, there certainly is. And you mentioned the quick handball that I got from Kev.
That was an effort that my mate Nathan Burke would be very proud of. I'm sure he's listening down in Tasmania. So one for you, Burkie.
I think I might have done a quick handball to Nathan Burke last week, actually. So, anyway, I've gone with one vote to Wangadeen. I've just had a bloody mind.
Wangadeen Millerer.
Wangadeen Millerer. 29 disposals, 12 handball receives. You can see that the boys love giving him the football, because he just turns up and he's got that burst of speed where he can run, carry the ball, takes bounces. We've seen him do a couple of bizarre kicks tonight, which is not usually him. He's aggressive with the ball, but one of them was way too aggressive for me. But I thought he was fantastic and gave him all the drive off half-back. Mitch Owens, I think, stood up tonight. 4 goals, 2, 14 disposals. So he had the ball as well. He's getting the ball up the ground a little bit as well. And no surprise, Jack Sinclair, who had 40 disposals. 6 inside 50 from half-back. That's a good effort. That's a really good effort. 85% efficiency rate, as you mentioned, and 10 score involvements, again, off half-back. Probably a little mention to me old mate Mason Wood, who I thought played a fantastic game. 16 or 17 touches, kicked 3 goals as well, but just straightens him up forward and played most of his good football in the first half. So, little apology to him, but 3 for Sinclair, 2 for Owens, and 1 for Wangadeen Millerer.
Hard to argue with that. 40 disposals, a new career high watermark for Jack Sinclair, and he gets the 3 votes. In the ABC Footballer of the Year from Boomer Harvey, Jack McRae had 31, Wangadeen Millerer had 23 on the Tigers side of things. Jaden Short had 26. Jacob Hopper, 25, and Toby Nankervis had 21, along with Jack Ross for the Tigers, who had a pretty tough time of it in the second half. So, our 2 games to come tonight. We'll send you to these games in about 2.5 minutes from now. If you are with us in WA and Tasmania, you are getting Hawthorn and GWS at Launceston. If you're with us in Victoria, Adelaide or the Northern Territory on your radio, on analogue radio, you're going to Brisbane and Geelong. Of course, you can get either of those games wherever you are via the ABC Listen app. So if you want your choice of those games, you can head there. Everyone else is off to regular programming. Hawks and the Giants, Boomer, who wins?
It's match of the round for me, absolutely. I think the Giants are a fantastic outfit. Run, carry the ball, handball more. Hawthorn's a more kicking team. I think the 2 teams that have impressed me the most this year are Hawthorn and Adelaide, and they are both the best 2 kicking teams in the competition right now. I think Tassie favours the Hawks, so I'll go with the Hawthorn.
Kez?
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't find a reason to tip against Hawthorn at the moment. They're dominating every aspect of their game, particularly down in Tasmania. Hawks for me.
So Brisbane and Geelong, of course, the rescheduled season opener, and the rain is tumbling at the Gabba once more. Late change for Geelong. Mark O'Connor replaces Tom Stewart. Late change for Brisbane. Darcy Fort replaces Oscar McInerney. Who wins this one, Kez?
I think this is going to be really tight. I do. Given it's at the Gabba, I'm going to tip Brisbane. If the rain tumbles, I just like their small players at ground. Charlie Cameron, Kyle Lohman come back into the team as well. So Brisbane for me up there.
Yeah, I think without Stewart, I think he's a big out because he organises everything. He starts in the middle of the ground or on the wing and pushes back and becomes a spare all the time, and he's super important to him. I'd love to see Brisbane go after Max Holmes again. It worked last week for St Kilda, took him out of the game, and they lost a lot of their drive. So if Brisbane do that on Holmes, Stewart's not there, I think Brisbane in Brisbane win that one as well.
So Hawks and GWS for our WA and Tasmanian audience. Everyone else is off to Brisbane and Geelong. If you're with us on digital radio in Melbourne, Hobart, Adelaide and Darwin, you are off to weekend evenings. In about 50 seconds, the Storm down by the Dragons in the National Rugby League today, 14-8. And the Raiders are down to the Cowboys, 18-24. And, of course, well done to South Australia winning the Sheffield Shield. There'll be plenty more to come on that throughout the evening. Boomer, Kez, great to see you both. Great to spend some time with you at the footy. And Saints pretty impressive.
They certainly were. Have a good weekend.
Same to you both, Lauren Borden as well. Mitch Turner back in the studio. Stu Birchmore pushing all the buttons here. 2 massive games coming your way on ABC Sport. Hawks GWS if you're in WA and Tasmania. If you're in Victoria, South Australia, the Northern Territory, it is Brisbane and Geelong. Everyone else is headed to regular programming. Plenty more footy to come here on ABC Sport. The Saints at Docklands. Too good by 82.
Just like this flame bowerbird, ABC iView is free. Watch as he never pays for quality content. ABC iView, always free, always entertaining.